talkSPORT update powered by the Nissan Van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With your headlines, it's just coming up to 1 minute past 10. I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Mikel Arteta told us he was too sensitive to talk, but says the Spurs game on Sunday can't come soon enough after Arsenal blew a lead to draw at Wolves. How are the fans feeling about the run-in?
No, I'm not watching the Tottenham Arsenal game. Our game management under pressure, it's embarrassing. You know, now the pressure's on. It's that time of the season.
City have had a blip. Maybe this is our blip, and it's not a bad time to have it when you're 5 points clear and top of the league.
Well, after Newcastle trounced Qarabag 6-1, could they do Arsenal a favour this weekend?
I think we can go to Man City and play with no fear, because if you think back to the cup tie and particularly the second half, we created chances, we created opportunities.
Former Newcastle coach John Carver there. Meanwhile, is 4-goal Anthony Gordon an option for England as a backup for Harry Kane? Eddie Howe's praised his all-round game as a striker. Only Mbappe scored more in the Champions League this season. Arne Slot says football needs to do more than society does to combat racism. He was asked about the Vinicius Junior situation. He hopes Liverpool players would also walk off if they suspected racist abuse. Meanwhile, it's understood UEFA could take 3 weeks to investigate Vinicius Junior's allegations Benfica's Gianluca Prestiani racially abused him. And Wrexham boss Phil Parkinson's told us there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes as the club builds towards the Premier League.
It's not just about the first team, it's about a structure being put in place for the club to be sustainable for many years to come. The academy has been now going for a couple of years, and that's getting stronger all the time.
Wrexham host Ipswich in the Championship, live on talkSPORT 2 this Saturday.
talkSPORT News.
Now, it's reported police have arrived at Andrew's home in Sandringham after the Epstein bombshells, and social media platforms may be forced to remove naked photos shared without consent. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Come rain or shine, we've got your electric car covered with 400 EV ready centres, so you can drive away happy every time.
Across central and eastern England, cloudy with rain and sleet easing, drier later with brighter spells. Showers moving into western Scotland from Northern Ireland, windy in the southwest and the north, feeling chilly.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live on talkSPORT. So Arsenal blow a 2-goal lead at Wolves to leave with a point. Have they handed the title initiative to Manchester City in the process? Meanwhile, Newcastle batter Qarabag. How big a narrative-changing week has it been for Eddie Howe? Also today, can you reason with those who want you out? Is football's civil war now over? Should Mourinho be punished for his words post-Benfica Madrid? Why can't golf move on from Tiger Woods? And from midday we talk boxing with fight pundit Spencer Oliver. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement.
Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
Only you could come away with something like this. I'm sitting, just for the benefit of the listeners and those watching on YouTube, I'll just give a bit of background to this. We're having Mr. Jordan and I are having a nice chat just minutes before we come on air there. And I suddenly think, yeah, of course, you're going where I might be going the next few days. It would be nice to meet up maybe for a bit of lunch or a bit of dinner. No thanks. was the answer. In front of a group of people.
I don't think I added thanks to the end of it.
Unbelievable.
I think it was a straightforward no.
I'd rather not. And he hasn't budged. Honestly, you would think with this working relationship that we have, it might lead to a bit of socialising now and again, but that's where it stops, it appears. That's where it stops. You've got a pal who's got a birthday today, actor Ray Winstone. Did you not know Ray in years gone by?
Yeah, years ago.
With him?
We were very friendly years ago.
Yeah.
I understand he's 69 today. There's a fitting age for him.
69 today. Yeah.
Good actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, I loved some of his films, Sexy Beast and Things in the Past and all those sort of films, all the way back to Scum. When I was a kid growing up watching when he played Carling in the film Scum, that was one of those British films that was made in the late 70s.
Okay.
Done very well for himself.
Very well indeed.
Not so friendly these days.
Okay. We are joined later on by the boxer Germaine Franklin, who's going to join us live here in studio, and he has an appointment, one that he may or may not be quite nervous about with Moses.
He has an appointment with a canvas. That's what he has an appointment with.
He's got an appointment with the canvas. I look forward to seeing you put that to Germaine.
I will.
When he comes in. What is going to happen in this title race? I mean, it's such a talking point now, Simon. Arsenal well and truly blow a 2-goal lead at bottom club Wolves to leave Molineux with a point. They were cruising at 2-0 before tepidly succumbing in the second half. A mix-up between Gabriel and Raya allowing Wolves to equalise via Calafiore putting it into the back of his own net. Heads down, no doubt. Heads down. Because now, all of a sudden, they're looking over their shoulders and Pep and City are waiting. This was Arteta.
Well, extremely disappointed, obviously, with the result, with the way the game ended. But we have to blame ourselves. I think the performance in the second half didn't show anything close to the standards that are required in this league to win, and with the margins that I think should have existed today, especially in the manner that we played the first half. So it's a moment of disappointment. We all want to talk a lot about how we're feeling. It's not the moment to do that, because anything that we do has to be always and only with the intention to help the team. And right now I think we have to swallow that frustration. When you are at this level and at the top, you need to take the hits, because today we deserve them as well, and move on as quick as possible, because on Sunday we have a big game coming up.
Very good. Full marks to Mikel Arteta there, Simon. But having said that, have they just handed the title initiative to Manchester City in the process?
Well, they've certainly given them some oxygen, haven't they? They've certainly given Man City an opportunity, because the perception is that Man City can control their own destiny, because they've got Arsenal at home. If they beat Arsenal at home, Man City win all their games. As Paul Merson was saying last night, they win the league if they win all their games. So there's a lot difference between where they are and where they aren't in terms of the opportunities that lay in front of them. I think Arsenal got to get themselves together. Drawing against Nottingham Forest, drawing against Wolves, two of the sides that are in the bottom four, is inexcusable really when you're on a Premier League title tilt.
Yeah.
And it has the whiff of times gone past, losing to Southampton or whatever it was, losing to lesser sides, West Ham, I think, and Fulham during that period of time when they earned the bottlers tag. I think they've got the steel to get through this. They'll regroup themselves, but these are not. We know that the narrative is going to be every game that Arsenal play. If it's not a win, out comes the monarchy. If they play Man City in the League Cup final and they lose in that, bang, Man City are seeded with the psychological advantage. They've got to weather this storm. They've got a far better squad than they had 3 or 4 years ago. They have to weather this particular self-inflicted storm.
Yeah. Simon, coming up to 10:10 this Thursday morning, bit of breaking news. And for that, here's Emma.
Thank you. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. According to reports in The Sun and on other broadcasters, 6 unmarked police cars and about 8 plainclothes officers arrived at Sandringham Estate just after 8 a.m. Officers are looking into claims against Mr Mountbatten Windsor linked to the Jeffrey Epstein files, including allegations he shared sensitive information with the paedophile while he was a UK trade envoy. Andrew denies all wrongdoing, and we will keep you up to date with this as it progresses.
Emma, thank you very much indeed. For more reaction to that, head to Times Radio and Talk Radio. So, Arsenal looked odds on to win at Molineux, but they left with a point, 2-2, and Simon and I are thrashing it out as to the implications of this. If it is a B, Simon, and let me explain, what is that B? Is it a blip, or is it the beginnings of serious bottle?
Well, they've had results in the middle of it. I mean, okay, you should expect to beat Wigan in the FA Cup, which they duly did. They beat Sunderland, who are nobody's fools, and put them to the sword. They beat Leeds, despite their lowly position in recent times, have been a very difficult side to play against for all of the top sides in the division. So there are moments in time, but these are careless missteps. You know, Brentford away, look, on paper we say, in our mind's eye, Brentford should be beaten by Arsenal.
Yeah.
But in the form guide and what's happened this season with Brentford, they've done very well, so we can understand that getting a point away at Brentford is not quite as catastrophic as it might seem prima facie on paper. You know, the lose to Man United, okay, Man United have got a new guy in, and you can make a backstory for all of them. But again, you shouldn't be losing at home to Manchester United, not this version of Man United. But the two results that stand out, have to stand out, are the 4 points that have been thrown away. I don't care how well Wolves picked themselves up and got themselves together in that game. You were 2-0 up. You're the Premier League champions elect.
Yeah.
It's in your hands. You see these games out, however galvanised the home side may be. So there's 4 points there that are against Nottingham Forest and against Wolves that are unforgivable to some extent when you're on a title tilt.
Yeah.
So you look at those 4 points, all of a sudden the landscape is completely different, but they've lost them. And now it's about what they do next. Now they've got Tottenham and Chelsea. These are real games that they've got on their toes now. Now, they should beat Tottenham, and I suspect there'll be a reaction. There'll be a reaction from Arsenal.
But they should have beaten Wolves.
They should have done, but they react. Now, I feel sorry for Tottenham because they're going to be on the end of a reaction. That being said, myself and Danny glibly turned around and said there's no parallel universe in this life or the next. The Wolves get anything out of this game. So nothing is guaranteed, but I would be very surprised if there isn't a reaction from Arsenal to the detriment of Spurs. And then they've got Chelsea.
Yeah.
And in amongst that, Chelsea have got Man City have got Newcastle and one other who evades me. Well, and Newcastle are no mugs either. So that's not a gimme for Man City, despite the fact Newcastle are 10th in the league.
True.
That's not a gimme either.
You see, after January's loss to Manchester United, we to a large extent turned our noses up when Patrick Vieira said there are still some questions about the mental strength of the team. That performance, they will really be disappointed with it. And he was talking about they need more energy. They've got to take more risks because they have the quality to do so.
Yeah.
And the very fact that we questioned it and we reacted to it in this very studio, and Emmanuel Petit kind of shut us down on it. Do you remember? This was Emmanuel.
I've been listening to former players on different stage, and saying the same thing. Mental strains, are they going to lose the title, or the same thing? And again, every week like this, Stop the negativity, especially for the Arsenal fans. I want you to support the team until the end. Stop. Yeah, I want you to believe that they are able, they have the strength, the quality to win the title. I'm so tired of it.
Well, he was tired of it then, but Vieira's words then, these days on, ring true after what we saw last night.
I mean, from Vieira's point of view, there's no loss in this because if he's right, he's proven to be sage-like. If he's wrong, no one cares because Arsenal are sailing away with the title. So he can't be wrong in that respect because no one's going to pull up Patrick Vieira and say, well, hang on a second, you negative Nigel. They've shown you that they can actually do it.
Yeah.
People will be too busy consumed with the fact that Arsenal are up and away. The fact that he looks like he's now had an epiphany that other people didn't see, we'll see. There's no gimmies in this. There's no givens. Man City are not the Man City of old. They've got their own frailties. Let's see if they go capitalise on it. Because this title race, insofar as it's a title race beyond anyone other than Man City and Arsenal, neither side is gripping the nettle and really kicking on. And City have come again, they've come stronger, they've come better. But this expected steam train of Man City, and we know what they do. And when their engines start, they don't stop. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see, because they're not quite the same.
The gap could be down to 2 as Arsenal go into the North London derby on Sunday with Spurs. Can you imagine the atmosphere at that? Every Spurs fan's going to dine out in it. Your bottle's going, and the Arsenal fans will be looking at it through gritted
But they're not
teeth.
playing against the Spurs fans. They're playing against 11 Tottenham players that aren't good enough at this moment in time. That have got a manager sacked.
Yeah.
Sitting at the bottom end of the Premier League that have got worries the other way. And the question of this game is Arsenal have got a better side and they've just got to assert themselves in this game.
We've seen them beaten before. Other teams who have better sides in derbies can lose.
Yeah, they can. They can. But this derby takes a new edge on because Arsenal have got jeopardy in this game even more than they already have. They already have massive jeopardy because they can't lose to their local rivals.
Yeah.
If they lose this game on the back of the result against Wolves, they're going to have a full-on expose or inquisition into what they are and what they aren't. So they think they're under pressure now, lose the Spurs game, see what kind of pressure you're under. I think they've got enough in that dressing room to pull themselves together. It's not Mikel Arteta. It's players pull themselves together.
Yeah, sure.
They've got to get themselves, back into the groove of assuming that they are the best team in the land.
Allow me to get a bit ahead of myself. But if it were to be a third title race dropped, would that be unforgivable in the minds of the media and the fans, but not in the boardroom?
I think listen, it wouldn't be unforgivable for me. I think he has done a good job. I think he's got to win something. So would I be out there with a full-on lobby for him to be fired? No, because I think the Arsenal boardroom look at it and go, massive progress. But you have to look at it and say, if not now, when? I mean, who said it the other day? If they don't do it now, they're never going to do it. I forget, there was someone...
Patrick Vieira said now or never.
Was it Vieira who said never? I mean, with due respect to Patrick, I know he was part of an invincible team, but he can't speak about the management capabilities of Arteta and when he's going to win something. But there is a feeling in me that this is the season, this is the opportunity. Man City will not be as loose as they've been at certain times in this season again. I think they will regain their poise. Liverpool are not going to be as poor at times next season as they are this season. Maybe they will be. Chelsea are getting better. United are evidently getting better.
Yeah.
So this is the window. This is the moment. This is where you put your foot on your opponent's throat.
Absolutely.
I still think they will. I still think it was never going to be easy. And why should it be easy to win a Premier League? They were always going to have to battle to win their first Premier League in the best part of a quarter of a century.
Arsenal fans, I know it might be a tough ask, but I'm going to ask it anyway. You prepared to come on and join us this morning? Because I'm going to put it to you straight. Is this deja vu or no time to panic? If it is a B, which B is it? Is it a blip or the beginning of the dreaded bottle? You tell us. 03717 223344. Ahead of the game against Tottenham on Sunday, we want to hear from you now. 03717 223344.
These are my three big predictions this week. So first up, next Manchester United manager. Michael Carrick, he's been doing an amazing job to galvanise Manchester United players. 4 wins, 1 draw. And on the pitch, everything seems to be going well at Old Trafford. We've got Kobbie Mainoo back in the starting 11. Benjamin Šeško's looking good. Bruno Fernandes is just being Bruno Fernandes. So I can see why people want him to get the job. But for me, whilst he does understand the club, he understands the identity, I think I'd like to see a proven winner at the helm. Thomas Tuchel is out of the running. It would be difficult, I think, to bring in any other managers working at the World Cup. So I'm going to go with Luis Enrique. I think that he understands what it is to play for a big club, obviously ex-Real Madrid and Barcelona player, and what it is to manage a big club. He won the Champions League with Barcelona as a manager. And, with PSG, he transformed that PSG side. It was a group of ego-led expensive players, and he brought in hungry young players and turned them into a solid side. I'd like to see what he could do in the Premier League, so it feels like that's naturally the next step. But there is every chance that he might remain at PSG, so then I think that Carrick isn't a bad backup option, put it that way. Next up, I'm going with World Cup winner, and I'm going to be on.
Now, Europa League action tonight. Martin O'Neill, our old chum Simon. Celtic host Stuttgart tonight. It's Martin's 1,000th game in management. Oh, wow. Martin, we wish you well this morning. I know you tune in when you can. An interim charge for a second time at Celtic, of course, following the departure of Wilfred Nancy. That seems like light years ago now. But all the spotlight on Martin and Celtic tonight. And Martin, we wish you well. And Celtic tonight. Wonder what sort of crowd's going to turn up. We'll get to that later on. It appears behind the scenes a bit of peace has broken out, and that's always good to hear. What has broken out at Arsenal, though, because last night, a game that they were on course to win, that they should have won at Molineux, they ended up drawing. 2-2, they've left with a point. But what does it tell us? Is it deja vu? Is it no time to panic? Which B is it? Is it a blip or the beginning of that dreaded bottle? You tell us. 03717 223344. David, big Arsenal fan, you're first up. So many Arsenal fans, David, trying to get through. You have got through first. Good morning. What do you want to say?
I just believe it looks like the capitulation is starting to happen now.
Oops. Right.
Last season, we looked brilliant going forward. 5 goals past West Ham, 6 past Sheffield. And now we haven't got that. We're relying on the defence, but the defence isn't there either now. Teams know now that if they hold a low block against us, that they'll stop us scoring. But they also now know that how fragile we are at the back, and that's why they're pushing us.
Are you worried about Sunday, David?
In a sense of yes, because it's Spurs away, but as we all know, Derby's form goes out the window. So you would really hope that now we actually show up against Spurs, that this is kind of the kick up the behind that we needed.
If you do lose it from this point in, is it unforgivable in your mind, David?
I don't know if it's unforgivable. I think it's forgivable with the board, but I think it might be unforgivable with the fans. Because I think if we lose Sunday, the league goes, and I think we don't win anything this season. I think our heads completely fall off.
Wow, David. Well, you've met it head on, to be fair to you. Tyrone's a big Arsenal fan. Tyrone, do you agree with a very pessimistic David there? Good morning.
Good morning, Jim. Morning, Simon.
Good morning.
Show, as always. I always listen to your show on a daily basis. I completely agree with the previous caller. My worry started against the Liverpool game, the 0-0 draw. From that point on, I'm a season ticket holder, so I was at the ground that game, and I said to the gentleman next to me, I'm worried from that point on, because it just seems like we're missing something in our team. And we just don't play through the central zones. We brought Eze in to be that sort of central spark. For whatever reason, Arteta has lost trust in him or whatever. He had a brilliant game at the weekend, then he's back on the bench the next game, which I feel is a bit unfair. But last night was dreadful. To be honest with
Tyrone, I'm looking at messages coming in. There's one. Sounds like the fans are bottling it more than the team are.
It's not so much bottling it, it's just seeing the pattern, the consistent pattern that we've seen over the last 3 years. And, you can't help ourselves and the noise that our club gathers from other fans, from our rival fans, that we're going to catch you, you're going to bottle it. It's hard to not go against that grain, Jim. It's not so much that I agree that we're going to bottle it, but it's very, very worrying signs. That's what I have to say.
Simon, what do you want to say to Tyrone? Is he right to be in a state of nervousness this morning?
If you're drawing games against, he can see it for himself. If you're drawing games against Forest and Wolves, those are not games that you should be losing points in. You should have those 4 points on your roster.
Yeah.
The Liverpool game, it was a poor performance. I felt at the time this was a game that was being billed as a really good game, and it wasn't a good game from particularly either side. Liverpool were better in the second half than they were in the first. But I look at it and say, there's lots. Arsenal went up to Leeds. They beat them 4-0. They beat Sunderland 3-0. There's still plenty in the tank. Yes, they've had a couple of. We're going to see now. We'll see the reaction on Sunday. We'll see a lot from the reaction on Sunday against Tottenham. I fully expect, but then I fully expected Arsenal to beat Wolves, that Arsenal will rebalance it. And it will be interesting to see how City capitalise, because they're not the full ticket. They're not the full deal. They're not the full Man City that we've seen before, that in our mind's eye, because the narrative around City is they'll chase you down. The narrative around Arsenal is they'll bottle it. And it's interesting how these narratives are now seeded, because when people pare it back and go, well, yes, historically, City do that, but this City side is not the same City side. And there's a part of me that thinks, a big part of me, for no other reason, that I think it's Arsenal's time, that they will find their way through this particular conundrum. And winning their first Premier League title was always going to be fraught with twists and turns. And quite frankly, we as a viewing public, besides the Arsenal fans, should appreciate that, because what do we want to see? Arsenal 15 points clear in the Premier League.
Right, exactly. No, that's true. But the Arsenal fans want to see something better than they saw last night.
But they've also got to keep the faith themselves. They've got to keep believing themselves, not blindly believing. They've got to be concerned about the fact that 2 games against lesser opposition, massively lesser opposition, that are actually looking at the Championship rather than winning the Premier League, have taken points off them.
Right.
But the atmosphere that the Arsenal fans need to create, without me telling them what to do, because that was Emmanuel Petit's job, and see how far that got him with a couple of calls, is to create an atmosphere in the stadium of confidence and belief and intimidation towards the opposition, not recriminations, and not nervousness.
No doubt, no, Simon. Anybody. At the moment, though, 2 wins in the last 7 Premier League matches. I mean, Arsenal fan Tony, heads are down. Is yours?
Yeah, well, I'm 63. I've been doing it long enough not to believe we can do anything. I always say, people go, oh, your team's doing well. I live up in Leyland near Preston, and I've still got my season ticket, 400-mile round trip, to get to a home game.
Oh, wow.
But I would say to everyone, we ain't won nothing yet. We ain't won nothing yet, because I've been round the block watching, with me football, and I love the Arsenal and everything else. But I just really have phoned up to say, has Gyökeres been a massive mistake? Because people, give him time. He's good off the ball. It's what he does off the ball. It's got no finishing pass. He runs into defenders. He scored a great goal the other week, but he's passed the Saka, hit the back of his leg, bounced back out, and he done it. Then he hit one in off his shin. Then he slipped over and scored. Don't get me wrong, I celebrate every goal, but we needed the prolific striker. If we had a Hungland, we'd have the lead one now. I believe that, We're just not... Saka yesterday was put up front. He scored a goal with his head. Gyökeres didn't, When Jesus comes on, he looks a lot more dangerous than Gyökeres. And I think him and Eze are 2 mistakes. That's just my opinion.
But Tony, you should know, having been an Arsenal fan for so long, you've had Arsenal strikers who had struggled initially, but eventually come good, did they not?
Yeah, they do. But come on, we're looking at the end of the season now. Don't take that long. I know Bergkamp and Henry both had to settle in. But this season we've got, he played for Coventry, I mean,
yeah. Did you say, Tony, Eze's a mistake as well? Did you say that? Is that not a bit unfair?
Well, no, he scored his hat-trick against Tottenham, so he's got his folklore there. But since then, I don't know. I don't see it. We need world-class players. If we want to be the best, we've got to sign the best. Yeah. And I think they're good. They're good for your Forests, your Wolves, teams we can't beat. But at the Arsenal, we've got to have, if we're pushing, which we are, then we need the cream. And I don't think we've got it. I think Gyökeres is going to end up a massive mistake. And I want him to prove me wrong. Of course I do.
Tony, I'm going to pin you down just as I head to 10:30. Yes or no? Do Arsenal win it?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, Tony. Okay, mate. A seasoned Arsenal fan, but saying no. Again, it's beyond them. Is it beyond them? Do you feel that this morning? 03717 223344. So many calls coming in. We'll stick with this. And also, I want to get Simon's view on this, the other side of 10:30. Rob Edwards, he wanted more from the Wolves fans last night. Really? Really? We'll get to that very shortly. 10:30.
would you want an old rival as yours? And Liverpool fans, is there any chance that he could come back if Slot gets the bullet? Now, you were asking me whether or not I would have taken Klopp at Man United, and I said not in a million years. Let's speak to another Man United fan. He goes by the name of George. Hello, George. How are you?
Hello, George.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you today?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Good. What would you like to say,
right.
George?
You I've been supporting United for 65 years. But do you cut off your nose to spite your face?
Mm-hmm.
You pose the question that if you can guarantee that within 2 years Klopp can win you the league, go for it. Why not? It'll get United back to winning ways.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, there is no guarantee of that. But here's my question: would you take that gamble? That's my question.
Yeah, I would. Look at what we've done in the past few years. Look at all the managers that have come and gone. They've all proved done. You know he's a proven manager. If it wasn't for City, as much as I'm United and against Liverpool, but if it wasn't for City, they would have won 3-4 more leagues.
Yes.
You know that. So that's a fact. I go by facts. The fact is that he's a very good manager. And you don't cut off your nose just to spite your face.
Spot on, George.
Why not?
Okay.
We need him.
So, how's Mikel Arteta feeling after a huge slip-up in the title race?
Very disappointed, very frustrated. You can sense that. So now is not the moment to talk because we are all too sensitive about it.
Arsenal blew a 2-goal lead to draw at Wolves, and the boss is not the only one feeling sensitive.
I think he's taking the Arsenal as far as they can go. We've got a dog called Win at the training ground. What we need to do is buy 2 gerbils and call one game and one management.
Arsenal are still 5 points clear, but Man City have a game in hand and home advantage when the sides meet in April, and there are 12 games to go. Now, Michael van Gerwen's had to pull out of his Premier League darts quarter-final in Glasgow tonight. That's due to illness. It means Luke Littler gets a bye, and he'll face either Johnny Clayton or Gowan Price in the semi. Now, good news for the UK's flagging hospitality industry. Pubs can stay open until 2 a.m. during the World Cup knockout stages if any of the home nations get there. And you'd never catch anyone at talkSPORT broadcasting under the influence, but Australian sports reporter Danica Mason has apologised for having a few before going on air at the Winter Olympics in Milan.
It's more the price of coffee in the US that we are going to have to get used to. I'm not sure about the iguanas. Where are we going with that one? But anyway.
Mason says she misjudged the situation, also blaming altitude, cold weather and not eating dinner. More at talksport.com.
Good morning, everybody. Thursday morning, February the 19th. Jim White and Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT. Also live on your TV, Samsung Fire TV, Google TV, even Prime Video. Wherever you want to watch the show, you can watch it live with us, of course, 10 till 1. It's a morning of breaking news, is it not? This isn't entirely unexpected news, though, Simon. Leicester City have now appealed their 6-point deduction that they were given by an independent commission following their breach of the EFL profit and sustainability rules. The deduction has seen them fall into the Championship relegation zone, and for the record, Gary Rowett was confirmed as their new manager yesterday, but they've now appealed their 6-point deduction. They would, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would. I mean, look, I'm not in favour of PSR in the first place, but those rules are there. And Leicester have tap danced their way around them through technicalities. Nick DeMarco's done a wonderful job for them. And if they're able to tap dance their way through this, it'll make an absolute dog's dinner of the whole purpose of having PSR or having independent panels at the cost of all the football clubs and the revenues that go into football to pay for these things. So I wonder, it used to be such that if you made an appeal and the appeal was turned down, that the actual sanction got bigger. I wonder if those consequences still exist now, because running a
I remember that. That was a risk you take, wasn't it?
Yeah, running an appeal is all wonderful and good because it gives you another backstop. If you fail in the league, you've got this little window of opportunity to give yourself a fallback position. And it doesn't surprise me, but in my mind, I find it difficult to understand why Leicester would not consider themselves quite fortunate to have gotten away with being consequenced previously. This, I know they'll say, we're not fortunate. The drafting of the governance wasn't strong enough, and we were able to invoke our position.
Yeah.
They are guilty of breaching PSR. There is no doubt they're guilty of breaching PSR as far as I can see. What they got away with previously was that they weren't in the Premier League when there was governance because they were in the Championship, and they weren't in the Championship to comply with the Championship governance. They got promoted by having an advantage over every single club. Every single club in that league had to submit their financial affairs and budgets and then be sanctioned or ultimately told to readdress the situation. Leicester said, no, we're not going to provide you with our budgets for the next year because we weren't in the Premier League when the budgeting dates were put forward. So they got through it. So they went through and won the league, knowing that they had a competitive advantage over everybody else in the Championship. But because they were in the Premier League when the budget date said, if you're in a Championship, you must submit your budgets for the next 12 months. Leicester win the Premier League then. We all knew they were going to get relegated.
Yeah.
They got around that. And here we are again trying to tap dance their way through it. My view is I hope there is a consequence for running a spurious appeal. And I hope if they lose the appeal, they get another 3 points.
Oh, Simon.
I do, because there is either rules or there's no rules. There's either government being able to tap dance, and then people say, well, if you do it, you would do it. Well, maybe I would, but we're not talking about me. We're talking about what you're doing.
Well, we'll either find out if they've got a case or if they haven't got a case.
Well, they've run their case. They had their case. They're independent. I mean, interesting.
But they feel strong enough to appeal it.
Because it's there to do it. It'd be interesting to see what the grounds for appeal are. Because I'm assuming the appeal must have some basis for it in terms of not just being given leave to appeal. Maybe it's just because they've been given leave to appeal, they're going to produce a new version of trying to go at the same attack. They clearly presented themselves in front of the tribunal. The tribunal clearly said, thank you for your submissions. You are guilty of what you've been charged of.
Okay.
So now they're coming back round again, having a second go, and it'd be interesting to see what they're able to pull out of the hat that keeps on getting deeper and more opportunities to pull things out of.
We'll keep across it as Leicester fight on. When you look at Arsenal's last 7 Premier League matches, drew against Liverpool, drew against Forest, lost to Manchester United, beat Leeds, beat Sunderland, drew with Brentford, last night drew with Wolves. Is that the stuff of champions? I'm not so sure. 03717 223344. Matt, big Arsenal fan. Good morning, Matt. You panicking?
Morning, Jim and Simon.
Morning.
Good morning, Matt.
I'm not panicking, but it was a bad game last night. It was a poor performance, and we need to take a long, hard look at ourselves, right? But my point is, the media witch hunt against Arsenal. Like, we've never spoke about the title, and you've got Merson, Neville, Redknapp setting us up to foul. Last month, Tottenham drew to City, and Merson said, "That's it, Arsenal are champions. The league's over." Like, years ago, Jim didn't even speak about the title to March. Every media outlet has sent out Arsenal to foul, and we're going to get destroyed if we finish second. Right, Jim? And the last point...
But, Matt, what do you mean we never speak about the title? On the way to Molineux last night, Arsenal fans must have been talking about, now, we win tonight, we can go in on Sunday, the North London derby, 7 clear. That's bound to have been the conversation, Matt.
We definitely think. No, Arsenal fans are not. Martin Keown's told you he's an Arsenal fan. We're not thinking about the title yet. We're just taking game as it comes.
You're not thinking about the title, Matt. Not at all.
No chance. We're taking each game as it comes.
Fair enough,
but we've had two Arsenal. I mean, if Liverpool were going for the title, or Manchester United, or one of these sides were going for the title, I'm not sure that we'd get a group of Liverpool or Man United fans coming on as we've had this morning, hoisting the white flag. So there's not you. You're not doing that. But previous callers have actually gone, "Now we're not going to win. It's done. We've blown up."
That's right.
And that seems like a defeatist mentality that doesn't manifest itself in clubs that are dead set upon winning, from their fan base to their boardroom.
I think you've made some good points this morning, Simon, about Wolves, and I think we should have beat Wolves, definitely. And I think we should have beat Brentford, to be honest. They're on a good run. They've not been in the Premiership for 5 years. We should be beating them if we want to win the title. But Honestly, I'm a season ticket holder. We are not talking about the title yet on the stands at the Emirates.
Okay, but Matt, just to finish with, just let me get this straight. You think the media want Arsenal to fail?
I think they set us up. I think they do, and I think just one last point. Liverpool, that Darren Anthony, especially on your show, he goes, Liverpool, they've given Man City so many title races. They never speak about Arsenal giving Man City a title race. We've given 3 or 4 title races the last 6 seasons. Liverpool give them 1 decent title race.
Matt, good call. Listen, thanks for taking the time out.
Liverpool have won.
Liverpool won. Here's Keith, big Arsenal fan. If I know Keith, and I think I know Keith, I know it's coming. Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you. Yeah, you do know me. Listen, I've got to say to you, I know I'm a pragmatic fan. I was very disappointed last night, very disappointed. I call it unprofessional to be 2-0 up against the bottom side and letting that lead slip. However, going back to what a previous caller said about Gyökeres, I said to Simon that we've never bottled the title. We didn't have the squad. This season we've got the squad, but I'm not quite sure the quality of the front line is up to it. I don't rate Gyökeres. He's come in supposedly as the goal scorer we were hoping that we needed to get us over the line. He's not been that person. We signed Eze, who actually was on the verge of going to Tottenham. And with all due respect to Eze, he's talented, but he's more of a Tottenham player because he's an in-and-out sort of player. He doesn't do it week in, week out. He's a streak-type player. He's not an Arsenal player. Madueke, he's a good understudy maybe for Saka, but he's not a first-teamer. He's great with all the tricks, but his final ball is not good enough. So I think that the problem is our front line. Is something not quite right with the front line insofar as we're not effective enough. We haven't got that killer instinct to go out and smash teams. Last night, you're 2-0 up, go out and smash them, put them to rest, and we haven't done that.
Well,
you cannot let leads.
Keith, I know you know your stuff. Who's your top goal scorer this season?
Good question, actually. I believe. I think it probably is Gyökeres. I think
Gyökeres.
But that's
and he's coming in for it this morning.
Sorry,
he's coming in for it this morning.
Look, we got him thinking. We got a striker there who's got something like 98 goals in 100 appearances in Portugal. We thought this guy, and I think he actually thought he was going to come into this team and score a hatful of goals every week. He's had a bit of a humbling experience.
It boils down to this, Keith, and I know you know your stuff inside out. Are you nervous now, or are you thinking, nah, to hell with you all? We're going to march on and win this goddamn title. We're going to do it. What side of the fence are you?
I've been concerned about the front line, but I do think there's enough quality there. However, I agree with Simon, I think, on Sunday. They've got to go out and say, you know what? Let's roll our sleeves up. We have to go out and win this damn thing. And we've got to go out and show the attitude of champions. I'll give you an example in a completely different sport. Phil Taylor in darts. I'll never forget. This guy, if you give him an opening, he sunk you. And that's what you've got to be. If you want to be a real champion, you've got to go and sink the opposition.
That's a good example, actually.
Yeah, and they've got their opportunity.
Kills off the opponent.
Well, they've got the opportunity to do that because their opponent is Man City and they're playing them. So we'll see about what this looks like. They'll go to. I fully expect Arsenal to recover from this poor performance against Wolves.
You think they win Sunday?
Yeah, I do. But I thought they'd win yesterday. So, but what that's worth is nothing. But the game for me is it's not a given that when you go to Man City, the Man City are going to roll Arsenal over. That will be a battle. That'll be like Arsenal going to Liverpool and winning the league title at Liverpool, not on the last game of the season as it was back in the day when Michael Thomas scored that goal all those years ago. But that game has that kind of epic proportion attached to it. So don't underestimate Arsenal's ability to go to Man City and beat them at Man City.
Keith, always a good call from you. Thank you very much. We'll finish with David, who's a big Arsenal fan. David, where are you at right now with your team, with the title, with the run-in? Where are you at with it?
Yeah, not in a good place, to be honest, guys. Great show, by the way. Arteta has spent £1 billion, nearly £1 billion, to assemble this team, this squad. He's on £15 million a year, and he can't manage to beat a team that has accumulated 9 points in the league, and he will possibly go down as the worst team the Premier League's ever seen. My honest opinion is, I think we flatter to deceive. We get to a point and then it all starts falling apart. Well, we've seen that 3 times in the last 3 years. And that's absolutely where I am. I don't see us winning the league. And I think Josh Kroenke needs to make a decision at the end of the season, and he needs to go.
Oh, David, you kept the punchline to last. He needs to go. I mean, to be fair, Kroenke, what more can he do at this precise time?
Well, no, he'll be confronted with the decision, is what the caller's suggesting. The fact that he's on 50, they're all on 15 million quid a year. The fact that he's get paid to spend £1 billion, they all spend £1 billion. So there's no.
Pep Guardiola is the only manager that exceeds what Mikel Arteta is on.
They're all on big money, whether it's 10 million, 12 million, 9 million, 10 million, they're all on big dough.
So
they all spend. I mean, Liverpool just spent £500 million in one transfer window.
But what you're saying, David, is this is the last chance for Arteta.
Absolutely. If he doesn't win the league this season, in what has been a very poor season in terms of quality, if he doesn't win it this season, he needs to go.
And replace him with who?
Luis Enrique.
Okay, and Luis Enrique is available to come to Arsenal, is he?
If you offer him enough money, he will come.
So he'll just rock out of PSG and come to Arsenal, will he?
I don't see why not. He wouldn't. Why would you not?
Because he's quite happy at PSG, I suspect.
Possibly
winning Champions Leagues and whatever else that they've done previously.
David, listen,
absolutely.
Realign your thoughts and come on again with us on Monday, and we'll find out who exactly has done what in the North London derby. David, the Arsenal fan, Keith, all of you, thanks so much for joining us on the show this morning. It is it's a tough old Thursday morning for the Arsenal fans, isn't it? And we're live in talkSPORT with Celtic, where the trade goes. Wayne Rooney has suggested Liverpool boss Arne Slot lacks aura. He says it's strange, isn't it, when you're talking about Slot being on an audition to keep his job, when he obviously has recently won the Premier League. I've met him a couple of times, but I just don't think for Liverpool he's got that aura. And maybe that's because Liverpool have just come off the back of Jurgen Klopp as manager. It's difficult for anyone, but I just don't think that aura is there about him. Has he got a lack of aura?
Well, I spent some time with him. I interviewed him for talkSPORT and spoke to him for a while before as well. I quite liked his presence and his calmness and his intelligence. I think Wayne's right if you're comparing him to Klopp. Klopp is an exuberant, charismatic, warm, humorous, larger-than-life character who captivated the whole city in many ways and brought it together over a period of time where it was struggling. So to follow him, I mean, is anybody out? I mean, nobody really you think could walk in and be what.
Thursday morning. We're going to have a quick check out on what Rob Edwards said post-match last night at Molineux. Rob Edwards, of course, in at Wolves, the man who took over when Wolves were really in a spin. Well, they're still in a bit of a spin, are they not? Played 27-1-1, 10 points, right at the foot of the table, and championship football beckons. Sorry, Wolves fans, but you know that. Since Rob arrived, 3 wins, 5 draws, 10 defeats since he arrived in mid-November. He arrived with the club bottom of the league. They're still bottom. They're winless in their first 11. But last night they got a point against Arsenal. And for whatever reason on Sky Sports, he decided to say they needed more from the fans.
Nights like this, I just hope everyone has a little bit of realism and understands what we're up against as well. I'm not just going to turn up and roll Arsenal over easily. So it's never going to be easy, especially when you go 1-0 down early on. Would have liked probably a little bit more backing at that point, if I'm being honest. But the way we finished, the energy was around, and it was a brilliant feeling.
Sorry, just to clarify, would have liked a bit more backing from the supporters at moments tonight.
I just think we've got to realise what we're up against in that moment, at that time as well. And the lads are fighting hard, but Arsenal are really good. 3 defeats in 11, we are showing a lot of fight. We are, you trace it back a long time now. The lads are trying, so we want to try and build some momentum and a connection and a togetherness around the place. I've said it from day one, I understand the frustration and the anger and everything else has been really tough. We've got to try and find a way to try and energise the team and the players well when they're out there in difficult moments.
Simon, I like Rob Edwards. I met him when he was at Luton, and he was talking about the show in a very positive way. And I know what you think of him, leaving Middlesbrough as he did to go to Wolves. But is there any room for a smidgen of credit for Rob Edwards? They're going down, but by your argument, it matters how you go down. Yeah, and as he says, we're putting up one hell of a fight.
He'd have to be especially gifted to have made it worse. So I think that ultimately getting it slightly better is at least what he could have done. And I think it's that you have to take it into consideration. I'm not entirely sure what was the wisdom behind doing that. You haven't got enough currency with the fans to demand of them. It's one thing Pep Guardiola, having delivered championship-winning sides and obviously been given the tools to do it, by the way, but notwithstanding it, still doing it, demanding of his fans support at times. And even then I don't like it because it's your job to entertain fans. It's their hard-earned money that pays the TV subscriptions, that sits inside football stadiums, that enables your players to be remunerated and rewarded the way they are. And when you say you're trying, oh, bless your little cotton socks, that's good of you. You're trying. That's the least you can do. That's what the fans would expect. Now, the idea that I don't know what the Wolves fans were doing. I don't know whether they were demanding of Wolves to beat Arsenal, because it's unrealistic in my mind to suggest that the Wolves fans were sitting in Molineux going, well, we expect to beat Arsenal. I
think there was a bit of booing after the first goal went in.
Are entitled to be disgruntled and disappointed. Yeah. They're the ones that schlep in every week and watch the football team. And if they've not seen application, I remember Martin O'Neill talking about Matt Doherty and his little outburst on how the players got to pull themselves together. And he went, yeah, good, yeah, all right, all talk. And it's great to be able to talk about things. The fans have watched week in, week out. You've arrived, and because you've got a decent result against Arsenal, that was not an opportunity to tee off at the fans. What it was an opportunity to say, in my view, isn't that worth supporting? What we saw today is worth supporting. Okay. It's a style of approach. What's seeded in that sort of outlook is football people's entitlement. They're entitled to praise, and they're not entitled to any criticism. And if the criticism is unfair, if you have not earned that, if you have not seeded in the fans' mind after 27 games of a season, or however many it is, 26 games or whatever it is, that your team has let the fans down repeatedly and endlessly, and okay, you've regained some points, and you've put a little bit of pride back into this situation, you're still going down as a useless side. Your fans are having to accept that. You have one halcyon moment, and you turn and wag your finger at the fans. No, I don't think that's wise. Okay. Now, okay. And if the Wolves fans amongst themselves think it's wise, then fine.
Well, let's hear from one of them, because we haven't asked for calls on this, but I'm delighted to say we're getting calls on it. This is the very nature of this show. James, good morning. You're a big Wolves fan. No doubt, like many other fans around the country, you're a proud lot, and I've been amongst you in the past. What's your take on what Rob Edwards is saying? Wanted more from the fans?
We're a proud club.
looking forward to going to the Championship. It is what it is. I came on here last year and Vita Pierre saved us when Simon said we was going to go down. But never mind, we'll move on. Yeah, we were saved. So sometimes sports commentators do talk a lot of rubbish. But
a lot of the time,
what I'm really aggrieved about is we're possibly going to be the worst side in the Premiership. Look, into a very difficult situation. He's done well. We're on 10 points. I guarantee you, I'll ring you at the end of the season, we'll be on between 17 and 20 points. And he's doing a brilliant job. I think he's doing a good job. And we've got some really good players. Whether we come back up or we don't, I'm not bothered. I'm going to, like the rest of the Wolves fans, we've accepted our situation. So, bring on the Championship.
But are you happy with being told by your manager to support your team better? That's the question.
Yes, he's right.
Is he?
Look, people make comments and they make mistakes, Simon. You do as well, because you said we were going to go down last season, which we didn't.
No, you'll go this year. You circled it last year. You're going to get done this year.
Listen, you called us a few weeks ago, possibly the worst side in the Premiership. Yes.
You are the worst side in the Premiership, aren't you?
You said you said we're a crap club. Yeah.
No, I said you're a crap team, not a crap club.
Team or whatever, but we got pride. We're a middle-sized club. We're a middle-sized club where we are. But I wish Arsenal fans and other fans would stop coming on to talkSPORT and saying, "Oh, you're going to possibly be the worst side in the Premiership." No, we ain't, because we're going to finish on.
We're not going to be far away from it, are you?
Okay, listen, James, you've done well. You've battled on well there. It'll
be the second or third worst side in the Premiership history.
Right? Yeah. Well, he certainly was quoting you fairly close to what you said.
Some of it, yeah, quite close to it. Yeah.
David, let's finish with your good self, big Wolves fan. I mean, albeit you must realise you're going down. Of course you do, but it is the manner in which you go down that counts here, isn't it? And I think that's what Edwards was alluding to at the end.
Hi, Jim. Hi, Simon. Yeah, first-time caller. So a lot of what you're saying, I really agree with. I wasn't there last night, but I think Rob's got a little bit right in the sense that the Wolves fans do get a bit fickle at times. So I think it's more around the frustration when the team don't try. And I think probably first half last night, they weren't really trying as much because they just were outclassed. But I think they really turned it around second half. But I think the reality is, like Simon says, we're down. We know we're down. And it's about how do we rebuild it. And I think the frustration more than the fans, it's just heartbreaking. You invest everything in a club that's struggling. And I think at the moment, the damage has been done before Rob's come in. Foster has sold some amazing players we've had. Even the women's teams, they've been messing around. I mean, they didn't even register the women's team last season for potentially going up. And the players are given everything now. But I think the reality is they're just not good enough for the league we're in. And I think it's quite funny listening to the Arsenal supporters, because at the end of the day, it was there for them last night and they didn't take it. But I think I was just saying to the lady who put me through, it's interesting, this debate about the worst team ever, because, we are the worst team this season without a shadow of doubt. Simon's right. But also, we're not the first team. We won't be the last that's struggling, getting points. Southampton have done it. Sheffield United, all of those teams. But it's heartbreaking when you see where we could have pushed on from a few seasons ago to where we've got to now, just because we haven't taken it that next step further.
David, for a first-time caller, you've just got a gold star. Well done, mate. Thank you so much. David's often happy, but they're realists if nothing else, aren't they? They know.
Well, in the end, most football fans are, aren't they?
Exactly.
Because they have to live with the reality of what they're served up.
It's so nice that you say to them they've been circling the drain for a while. Now they're going down it. I mean, what a lovely thing to be told.
Well, it's the reality. I was being corrected about my inaccurate proclamations last year, so I was just reminding him of the accuracy. And again, if you say things long enough, it'll end up being right somewhere along the line, won't it?
You're not taking your shoes off again, are you?
No, I'm not. No, I'm scratching
it's 11 o'clock this Thursday morning.
And many times, particularly in derby games, Alan, have we seen teams just roll up the sleeves and get another 10-15% or whatever it may be. Yeah. I think that's the very least the Tottenham fans can expect at the weekend, is a completely all-in, spirited performance. And you know it's like 9 times out of 10 you get a reaction. A team will get a reaction to a new manager. That's obviously what the Tottenham fans can hope for.
Well, I guarantee you now they're not excited about this fella. But let's give him a chance. Here's Tudor speaking for the first time after being appointed.
Of course, I'm coming here knowing the situation is not easy. There's no time to find excuses. What I said from the first day here, each of us, each of players need to give something more, something extra. It's not enough to just be aware of that. I like to be positive. I like to play offensive football. Of course, that's my first goal I had, that I like to score the goal, but in the same way, for sure, need to give organization in defense. Okay, give the clear structure of the what you want to play.
I mean, that's another one you talk about, obviously.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan van range. Scoring a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 11:03, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. A lot of Arsenal fans are telling us they've blown the title, but Simon Jordan thinks the Gunners will regain their poise, and Man City haven't been able to grasp the nettle either.
And City have come again, they've come stronger, they've come better. But they've this expected steam train of Man City, and we know what they do. And when their engines start, they don't stop. Well, we'll see.
Yeah. Arsenal go to Spurs this Sunday, while Man City host Newcastle, who are buoyant after thumping Carabao 6-1. An optimistic former coach John Carver recalled the second half of their recent Carabao Cup tie.
If we go there with the same energy, right, that we showed in the second half, and not fear them and not respect them too much, then why can't we go there and get a good result?
Meanwhile, over at Liverpool, Alexander Isak is 6 weeks away from a return to action.
I think he's been on the pitch now, not with his football shoes, but with his running shoes for the first time this week. So that will still take a while as well before he's ready to play for us again.
Isak hopes to have his football shoes back on at the end of next month. Liverpool go to the City ground on Sunday. Club legend Mark Crossley is worried Nottingham Forest are becoming a laughingstock.
4 managers in the season is crazy, but we know what our owner and our chairman's like. There's one thing for sure: if he's not happy, then he does something about it immediately. I feel a bit for Sean, because I thought he was doing okay, to be honest.
Vitor Pereira's first game in charge at Fenerbahce is live on talkSPORT 2 tonight. And British and Irish Lions second row Adam Beard is dropped for Wales' game with Scotland in the Six Nations this weekend. Head coach Steve Tandy's rung the changes after their pasting by France. Leicester's Gabriel Harmer-Webb makes his Wales debut on the wing. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office, and Sir Keir Starmer's appointed a new head of the civil service. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With expert technicians in all our centres across the country, we'll keep your car's inbuilt safety tech in top condition this winter. Book today at quickfit.com.
Across central and eastern England, cloudy with rain and sleet easing, drier later, brighter spells as well. Showers moving into western Scotland, windy in the southwest and the north, feeling chilly.
Good morning, everybody. It is 6 minutes past 11 o'clock. This is Thursday, February the 19th, and it's none too good in this part of the world here in London. I hope the weather is better wherever you are listening all around the UK and beyond. Jim White, Simon Jordan, live on talkSPORT, live on your TVs as well. Still, the dust is settling from that incident-packed match the other night in Portugal. It was the first leg of the Champions League playoff between Benfica and Real Madrid. And of course, the storyline was that Real Madrid won it, but the storyline at the end of the day had nothing really to do with the eventual result. The fallout goes on with UEFA opening an investigation into Vinicius Junior's claims that he was racially abused by Benfica's Gianluca Prestiani. Young Argentinian player Prestiani could face a minimum 10-match ban from European competition if he's found guilty. He denied directing any racial abuse at Vinicius, and his club added that they fully support and believe his version of events. The club also says that the club regrets the defamation campaign of which the player has been a victim. So Benfica very much in their own players' camp. But what has been the reaction like in that part of the world since Real Madrid hopped on a plane and flew back to Spain? The editor-in-chief of the newspaper Record is Sergio Crithinas, who has joined us on the show previously. Sergio, good morning. Thank you for being with us again. No doubt you've had your hands full with this story because it happened on your own doorstep after all. So it all took place in the Estadio da Luz. What has been the reaction, Sergio, both in Lisbon and in the wider parts of your country in Portugal?
Hello, nice to be here with you again. Actually, it was at my doorstep because our office is probably 200 meters away from Estadio da Luz, which is really, really close from here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a massive issue as well, big controversial. Of course, lots of people are blaming Benfica for the way they reacted, because their first reaction, or one of the first reactions they had, was to post a video on their online media to try to prove that Mbappe could not have heard what he said he heard.
Yeah.
That Cristiano called 5 times a racist
remark.
To Vinicius, and that instead of saying we are going to look into that, Benfica was saying, okay, he's not guilty for sure, he's innocent, and we are standing by him, and they are defamating him. And of course, this has sparked also a big, lots of discussions in Portugal. Lots of people, for probably my admiration and shock, lots of people are trying to justify what happened with the fact that Vinicius was provocative, he was provoking and everything. But then you see some images of the stand, some fans, not many, but some fans doing some chants, doing some gestures, and you see it's a huge problem in society because it's not acceptable, and that's why it became so shocking that you see a couple of teenagers on the stands just doing gestures as if they weren't they were monkeys to tease and to insult.
You're a very experienced journalist, Sergio, the editor of a very popular newspaper in Portugal. What stance have you took? What reaction have you made to Mourinho's part in this? Is it your belief that Jose Mourinho should be punished for his words post-match? Because in many ways, he was seen to victim blame here, was he not?
Yeah, I understand what you say. I think Mourinho took the same way that many people took. That's how Benfica is trying to defend his own player. Is like Vinicius was provoking, and of course it's a different question. It's a different argument. Vinicius is provoking. Let's discuss that. Okay, but the racism, it's not the alleged racism, because we don't know what really Cristiano said. I mean, all the he has a smoking gun on his hands. all the gestures, all the body language seems that he's somehow guilty, but we don't know for sure, of course. But Mourinho, he started, I think his reply in the press conference started in a good way, because he said, I listened to Vinicius, I listened to Prestiani. I'm not saying Prestiani is the best player, the best guy in the world, but I listened to both of them, so I tried to be in the middle, okay. But then he was like, why is Vinicius provoking? And that does not make sense. As well, it doesn't make sense as the claims Benfica have been using in the last days, that their biggest symbol as a player was Eusebio, and of course African, it's like the new. I also have African friends. It doesn't make sense that the discussion on this particular case is to claim that Benfica had several African players in the past. And it's historically it's been a very open club since the beginning, but this is not the discussion, and the discussion is not whether Vinicius was provocative or not, because he took a yellow card for the way he celebrated the goal.
Yeah,
and probably it was too harsh. I think it was not that provocative, in my opinion, from what I saw on TV. And he took a yellow card for that. So that's a different question. And Mourinho went in the same line of defense that Benfica as a club used somehow, that tried to justify an action that has no justification.
Right. One wonders, we'll ask Sergio, Simon, how Mourinho is going to come out of this.
Well, he has to be asked to account for his words, because it's one thing him defending we don't know what was said to him by Vinicius Jr. If Vinicius Jr. said to him, Benfica is a racist club, and then his reaction is, no, it's not a racist club. We're not seated in racism. You can't make the individual that might be guilty of something extrapolated up to the entire club. So that might be the context. But he's not chosen his words wisely, because you look at it and it's irrespective of whether Vinicius Jr. was provocative or not provocative, the outcome can't be racism. It can't be racism, and it can't be an explanation to some extent, and there has been no explanation as to why a player needs to put a shirt over his mouth to say something clearly derogatory. Whatever that derogatory, and there's a variety of different versions of what he might have said. Some other insulting language might have been used, which wasn't a racial trope, but it was about sexuality, is an assertion that's being said in translations that people seem to think they have. Either which way, if you get into the territory as an influential figure of looking like you're victim blaming, Mourinho's decided that his player is innocent instantaneously. He's made that judgment, and that's why he's going on the offensive. And he would have been better served perhaps remaining neutral and keeping himself out of the equation, because the story now is not about necessarily just what happened on the field. It's now about Jose Mourinho.
Well, that's right.
And what he's now said.
Yes. Going forward, finally, Sergio, I noticed Benfica have a match in Primera Liga on Saturday against AVS. Do you think? What's the latest?
No, he won't play for sure, because he's suspended. He took the 5th yellow card in the last league game, so he's definitely not playing on Saturday. I'm curious to see. I don't think that he will play in Madrid. I think the environment around him and the club, it's really bad. Probably the best way to protect the player is take him out of that game, because you have to keep in mind is a kid that turned 20 2 weeks ago.
Sergio, has he got any previous form, anything about this player that indicates that there's a history of challenges with him in the past? Because ultimately he's now in the eye of a storm for alleged racist abuse. Is there any history with this player that builds up a narrative around him?
Nothing related to racism at all. But he is a kind of aggressive, player who likes to chat on the pitch. He's the kind of player who's always talking around, trying to get into the others' minds. Is a kind of aggressive player. I would say very. I don't want to be. Don't have to be some prejudice, but he's very Argentinian in the sense that he's a as you see, as like Emiliano Martinez for Aston Villa, a kind of player with a lot of antics, lots of this kind of behavior on the pitch. But most of the times he's seen as a kid, because he's also a very short player, as you probably saw, and he's a 20-year-old, but he looks like he's even younger than that, because he's really looked like a teenager. and he behaves a bit like a very, I would say, childish way sometimes on the pitch, but he looks like a happy guy, you know. He has a very strong connection with Nicolas Otamendi, who is the team captain of Benfica, the central defender. And people in Portugal almost say they are like father and son, because Otamendi is 37, 38 now. It could be actually his father. And they have this bond of a father figure like Otamendi for him.
I see. Sergio, can I jump in?
You saw a lot of times they were together on the pitch, even when they were like pushing.
Yes, I saw that. The Otamendi was with him quite a lot throughout the rest of the game. My final question to you, Sergio. I mean, you're no doubt proud of your heritage, a proud Portuguese man, proud of your country. Are you disappointed at how Benfica has reacted out of this?
I think Benfica was the way they reacted. Their communication was a disaster after what happened. Honestly, I really think that. And but I know a lot of people in Benfica. I think they were just not ready, and they didn't stop a bit to think, what should we do now? Because they were like try to. I think they didn't see what was coming. In the sense they tried to stop a hurricane with their hands, or tried to stop this massive communication and massive power that Real Madrid and also the Spanish press and the English press have to make this such a big case. And I'm not saying it's wrong that it's such a big case, because honestly, I really think that every case of racism should be fought like that. And I think Benfica was not ready for that, and they made mistakes in the first hours after the game. And yesterday they tried to be quieter, you know.
Yes.
They made a statement saying we are going to open the doors, we are going to work with UEFA, and we still believe our player. That's what basically they said.
Sergio Crithanas, Editor-in-Chief of Record, thank you so much for joining us from Lisbon this morning. Jim White, Simon Jordan, live in talkSPORT. With Selkos, where the trade goes. Alex, let's finish with a player we know from his time here at Chelsea, who's been more recently ploughing his trade in Germany. Reports in Germany suggest Nicholas Jackson is expected to return to Chelsea this summer because he hasn't played enough games for Bayern Munich to trigger the obligation to buy clause in his loan agreement. What more have you got in this?
Yeah, do you know what? When this deal was done, everybody said what a great piece of business it was for Chelsea, because the buy option was £56 million. I never saw a scenario where Bayern Munich were going to take that up, because he's just not a £60 million player, is he? Nicholas Jackson. He's got 5 goals in 22 games. They don't want to keep him. He's going to be coming back to Stamford Bridge, but I don't see a scenario where he's reintegrated into the Chelsea first team. I think they will look to sell him in the summer, but probably will have to accept a much reduced fee. And it was always going to be difficult for him to go to a club like Bayern and force his way past one Harry Kane. So these loan deals with options, some of them are not really worth the paper they're written on. I've got the option to apply for a place in the Mr. Universe contest. I'm not going to do that either.
I think you're on the way.
I like that. Danny, when it comes down to it, you've got Nicholas Jackson or you've got Liam Delap. Who do you play?
Well, at the moment, with Delap's form, although I like him, Jackson.
Thursday morning, what's left of it, we will talk boxing from 12 onwards. Spencer Oliver will join Simon and myself, and so too will the bulky form of Germaine Franklin. A huge gentleman's going to come into the studio due to fight Moses Itoma, of course, in this country very soon. And this fella's never been stopped, Simon. So I wonder if he's going to pose anything of a threat to Moses Itoma, of whom huge things are being expected.
No, I don't. I think that's right. Obviously, his record speaks for itself, but I don't think he's been hit as hard as he potentially will be by someone like Moses Itoma. People say Anthony Joshua hits hard, but the Anthony Joshua that fought him in that fight was an Anthony Joshua on a rebuild, coming back from a debilitating loss, and they were rebuilding him, so he was a different animal. He wanted to navigate the fight.
But he doesn't shirk a challenge, does he?
No, because there's a reputation. The thing for me is I want to see a fight. I hope he doesn't try to survive 12 rounds and get credibility for having Moses Itoma on his record as being the first person that takes this kid 12 rounds.
No, sure. I look forward to you asking him that.
Oh, I'll ask him.
Last week, almost to the day, Thomas Frank was sacked by Spurs after 8 months in charge. Thomas Frank, it's largely agreed, one of football's nice guys. Did he deserve this fate? Well, some Tottenham fans would say, yes, he did, because we weren't really going in the direction we wanted the club to go in. And of course, when he took over, Thomas Frank, it was such a popular appointment, if you remember.
I like to challenge myself. I've been that privileged. I've never been sacked before, so that's one of the reasons why I took the job. So I could get a little bit more risk into my daily life. Coming to a big club, there's pressures. There's we need to perform because it is we. It's me, it's the staff, it's the players, it's everyone, and we need to do that together. I like the ambitions, and I'm everything I do, every decision I made so far, everything is for the long term. It's not about surviving one game or 1 year or 18 months or what is the average. No, it's for the long run.
So that was then, and of course we know what's happened now. In comes Igor Tudor on an interim basis to take them over, and the first game for Igor is this Sunday, and it's the North London derby. But the question from me to you, Simon, is how much can your image be diminished in 8 months? Now they're coming out the woodwork. One source has told Telegraph Sport. Thomas Frank was constantly going on to the players about Arsenal, and they quickly get sick of it. Even before and after the game at the Emirates, he was telling them how good Arsenal were. The feeling among some was very much, just shut up about Arsenal. Elsewhere, reports suggest that after Spurs lost to Arsenal in November, Thomas Frank warned the squad about a drop in standards. The next day, multiple players turned up late to training, including the captain, Romero.
And what does that say about the professionalism of people? Are you trotting that out for whoever's trotting that out? Isn't pouring necessarily a bad light just on Thomas Frank. He's pouring a bad light on the people themselves. The players. I don't know whether Thomas Frank is so unaware, so obtuse in his thinking that he would spend his entire time consumed speaking about Arsenal as their biggest rival in terms of using Arsenal in the conversations. Is he that stupid? He doesn't strike me as that sort of stupid.
No.
Players that come out and say things or use agents or media hounds to say things to, I have no respect for.
The fact a coffee at an Arsenal Cup, but I mean that was a mistake.
Yeah, and that's why they're perhaps steering into that opportunity. Has he been diminished? Of course he's been diminished. Life is not linear. Success isn't always a straight line. You go up and down, and most people have lots of failures in their lives. It's like an iceberg. All the failures are beneath the surface, and you only see the successes, and you judge people by the successes. He will have to rebuild a little bit. Now what's being considered is he's not capable of managing a big club. He's clearly capable of managing clubs. People are now going to go after him and say, well, actually, he can't be doing that well, because look what Keith Andrews has done. Keith Andrews had his team that ripped apart, all the best players sold, and he's doing better than Thomas Frank did at Brentford. Or alternatively...
Is that an argument?
Well, it's an argument if you want to make it. Yeah. Alternatively, he left a decent side that had a few players taken out like he'd had it previously. He had players sold out from underneath him. Ivan Toney was sold out from underneath him. But you all have players sold out from underneath you. If the culture of the club is right, then you hand over a decent opportunity, which clearly he did. So I don't think the people should be spending their time diminishing him. He's going to have to rebuild. And the interesting thing will be to ascertain from him when he comes up for air what lessons he thinks he learnt from the experiences that he had at Tottenham and the mistakes that he evidently made. Because he must have made mistakes. We were all sat there looking at him, beginning to think, even the most temperate of us, going, you don't look in control of this. This looks like it's a bit too big for you. And that's the problem for Thomas Frank now, is that he's now back into the club of managers that can manage in the Premier League, but only a certain type of club.
That was my next question.
Is that the worst thing in the world?
We're next for Thomas.
Is that the worst thing in the world? Is it the worst thing in the world to be able to manage a decent-sized Premier League club but not one of the big six? Is that an awful thing in the world? Because, I mean, let's be honest about it. There's only a few people that can manage the big six clubs. So being a manager that's capable of making a lesser-than side punch above its weight is not a terrible thing.
So what is he? Is he a Scandinavian version of Graham Potter?
I don't know what he is. I mean, I don't know what Graham Potter is. Graham Potter, got elevated and his deeds carried on from the Östersunds into Swansea, and then his reputation built, and Brighton, and the perfect platform was Brighton, and then he got found out in pressure terms at Chelsea. And of course, West Ham was just a car crash anyway. I think anyone would have had problems there, but he exacerbated them. So off he's gone to international football. Will Thomas Frank come again? Yes, he will.
At Palace?
And there's an answer to that. Yeah, possibly. A Palace job might be a reasonable job, but of course Palace fans and people might say, well, hang on a second, you catapulted Tottenham into relegation battles. We don't want any of that, thank you very much. But there must be a raft of other reasons behind it besides all of a sudden he went to a manager that's totally incapable. You've got a dressing room culture in there, which is why I look forward to this fellow. If Romero and those players turned up late after being reminded of their obligations, then it's not about whether they had courtesy and respect for Thomas Frank. They had no courtesy and professionalism in themselves.
Yeah.
That might go to some of the issue. Now, what he should have done with those players if they were late the next day, and who knows what he might have done, was give them a right rollicking and find them.
Yeah.
So, yes, there people will say, well, his words didn't carry any traction. But some people were just difficult to reach. Some people just want to be difficult. And Romero perhaps strikes me as one of those. But Thomas Frank, insofar as what Thomas Frank's opportunities await for him, it will be a lesser club than a top six club, and that's evident.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy. I've got this image of any of the Tottenham players turning up late from this point onwards. Gentlemen, this is Igor Tudor. I mean, he looks formidable.
Yeah, I mean,
he looks formidable.
He looks formidable, yeah, and ultimately what you want is bite and bark.
Yeah.
And he'll need to bark and bite when it's relevant. Right now, what he'll be doing is getting to know the player, setting out his standards, setting out his expectations, and saying, this is what I expect from you. And if you dip below that, then we'll have a problem. I'm not assuming you will dip below that, so away we go.
Okay, 11:30. Remember, from 12 onwards, we talk boxing. Germaine Franklin will be in studio with us. In the meantime, we're with you live, courtesy of Selcoats, where the trade goes.
I don't enjoy all what goes on. Of course I don't. Who does? I don't want to see none of that. I don't like all the ranting and raving. John's obviously got a problem, him and Carl Frock, I don't know, with the two of them, and it is what it is. But it's nothing to do with me. And I've got to be honest, I have no regard for it. It's irrelevant to me. All I care about is what Tyson's doing and the fight. The rest of it's a sideshow.
You say that, Frank, but you are the promoter.
I'm not the promoter.
You're Tyson's promoter.
I'm Tyson's promoter, but I'm not the promoter of the event. It's a ring event. It's on, I have an exclusive contract with DAZN. This fight's on, as you well know, it's on Netflix.
But if you're uncomfortable with it, Frank, might you not have a word with Tyson?
I don't understand. Sorry, but I'm not responsible for what people do or in their family members are in or are with them or whether that's down to them. It's nothing that I'm not responsible, nor would I take the responsibility for that. It's no different if one of your relations starts ranting and raving and screaming and shouting. It's not.
So, how's Mikel Arteta feeling after a huge slip-up in the title race?
Very disappointed, very frustrated. You can sense that. So now is not the moment to talk because we are all too sensitive about it.
Arsenal blew a 2-goal lead to draw at Wolves, and the boss is not the only one feeling sensitive.
I think he's taking the Arsenal as far as they can go. We've got a dog called Win at the training ground. What we need to do is buy 2 gerbils and call one game and one management.
Arsenal are still 5 points clear, but Man City have a game in hand and home advantage when the sides meet in April, and there are 12 games to go. Now, Michael van Gerwen's had to pull out of his Premier League darts quarter-final in Glasgow tonight. That's due to illness. It means Luke Littler gets a bye, and he'll face either Johnny Clayton or Gowan Price in the semi. Now, good news for the UK's flagging hospitality industry. Pubs can stay open until 2 a.m. during the World Cup knockout stages if any of the home nations get there. And you'd never catch anyone at talkSPORT broadcasting under the influence, but Australian sports reporter Danica Mason has apologised for having a few before going on air at the Winter Olympics in Milan.
It's more the price of coffee in the US that we are going to have to get used to. I'm not sure about the iguanas. Where are we going with that one? But anyway.
Mason says she misjudged the situation, also blaming altitude, cold weather and not eating dinner. More at talksport.com.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
It's that time. We're joined by Matt Gibson from BetMGM. We're going to look at some of the results, some of the football moments, some of the top sporting events and the odds round and about them. So, Matt, good morning to you. Wolves 2, Arsenal 2. Thereafter, discuss from a BetMGM point of view.
Yeah, good morning, fellas. It looked like it was all done and dusted, didn't it, at 0-2? But fair play to Wolves coming back and really throwing the cat amongst the pigeons for the title race. I believe it's the first time in Premier League history that a team top of the table has let a 2-goal lead slip to a team in the relegation zone. Arsenal now just 5 points ahead of Man City, and a date for the diaries, gents, that weekend of the 17th of April when Arsenal go to the Etihad. City with a game in hand, just 5 points behind. That could be a monumental clash. In terms of the prices, fellas, before Arsenal played Brentford last Thursday, they were 1-4 to the title. They are now drifting right out to 4-7. Still odds against, but a little bit of a drift there. And in the same time period, City have gone from 3-1 to 6-4. So again, much like we were discussing with the Championship earlier in the week, gents, it ain't all over by a long stretch. The North London derby this Sunday feels absolutely monumental. Arsenal obviously favourites for that at 11-20, but it might not be as straightforward as the bookies think with the new manager bounce at Spurs, and Spurs definitely wanting to ruin the party for Arsenal, won't they?
Don't they just? It's a big night in Europe because Europa and Conference League matches on the go, and the standouts for us clearly: Fenerbahce, Nottingham Forest, Celtic, Stuttgart, live on talkSPORT 2. What have you got for us there?
Yeah, there's a few British sides in action. We must not forget about Crystal Palace going to Bosnia for Simon. They are favourites to do the business, but yeah, you're right, Jim. The ties that sort of take the attention are Celtic and Forest. It'll be interesting to see, and I wonder what you fellas think here, because I think Crystal Palace will go and do the business, and they are a sort of 8-9 points adrift of the relegation zone. But Celtic and Forest have got big battles domestically to face. Forest face Liverpool on Sunday. Celtic face fifth place Hibs on Sunday. They obviously want to go and do well in Europe. Forest with a new manager as well. Celtic obviously under Martin O'Neill, I think he's lost just 1 of 18 across his 2 spells there. How do you think they'll approach these games, fellas? They are, Forest and Celtic are both outsiders, and they've got big priorities at the weekend. Do they go full strength, particularly with Forest? Do they go full strength in Fenerbahce for the new manager's first game in charge, particularly with Liverpool on Sunday and their position in the table? What do you think they'll do?
Oh, it's all about momentum, isn't it?
I think they'll go full
strength. This is part of it.
Yeah.
Go all out.
Certainly, given the fact that he, in my belief, took Postecoglou because he wanted to win something in Europe.
Yeah.
And of course, the bigger priority will be staying in the division. That's indeed why they bought Vitor Pereira. But I expect Forest to be a very significant strength to try and win this game, because momentum is an incredible part of the manager's messaging. He has to go into that dressing room and get the players' attention. And the way you get players' attention is get proof of concept. And proof of concept is winning football matches. So he goes, I think, hard and fast. And the same with Celtic. Martin will want to win games. Martin plays to win football matches, and I think he'll put a strong side out. And with due respect to the league that they're playing in, irrespective of whether Hibs are fifth or not, Celtic should have enough to be able to beat Hibs, irrespective of how hard they have to play in Europe tonight. So I expect both sides to put out their strongest sides.
I think they will put out their strongest sides, Matt, but I think certainly in Celtic's case, it is a challenge. Stuttgart, with 3-1 winners at the weekend over Cologne, 4th in the Bundesliga. So they may not have many household names, but they're no mugs.
No, Martin's not got a bad. He's not got a bad history against Stuttgart. I rely on Sean for this because this wasn't my start at all. His team back in 2003 beat Stuttgart on the way to the UEFA Cup final. So maybe a case of history repeating itself tonight.
Much better Celtic team then, wasn't it? As Larson and
Larson,
Aldo, Barbo, and whatever else.
Balde, the rest. Absolutely, Simon. Okay, so how is it looking then? Just reiterate that for me, Matt. The odds on Forest going in against Fenerbahce and maybe getting through the tie, and same with Celtic Stuttgart.
Yeah, Forest are outsiders tonight, 43-20, as are Celtic at 9-4. Palace are obviously super odds on in Bosnia. If you fancy the British threefold, it's around about 13-1. So I think if Forest and Celtic can do the business, I think it's not a bad bet at all.
Good stuff. Night 3 of BetMGM Premier League darts in my hometown Glasgow. What are you thinking?
I'm surprised the phone's not rang, Jim, for an invite. I must chase that up. I must chase that up with our guys to get you on the list
next
year.
Just too busy here, mate.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of news. Michael van Gerwen is not playing tonight. He's out due to illness, which gives Luke Littler an automatic bye into the semis. As if he needed any more reason to wonder why Littler's going to be odds on for winning the night. He's actually not been in a final yet, and neither's Luke Humphries. And would you know it? Tonight they are in separate halves of the draw. So maybe we get the Littler Humphries final that we've all been after. Michael van Gerwen is a player in form as well, so he'll be really missed tonight. He's been in both finals, winning in Newcastle, getting beat by Gerwin Price in Antwerp last week. Price obviously won last week at a big price at 6-1. He's a shade more at sevens tonight. I think his match against Clayton straight out of the gate, I think that'll be a really, really good one. A little Welsh derby in the quarterfinals for the fans to get stuck into. We're obviously chasing the 9-darter. That's 11-2. There's not been a 170 finish just yet. The big fish, that's 7-4, and maybe 2 9-darters, which happened in Brighton last year. That's a massive price at 40-1. But we'll be locked into the action and looking forward to seeing where it goes tonight.
Top man, Matt. Good to speak to you. Thanks to BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk. Download the app. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Anytime I've ever been at Celtic Park in the East End of Glasgow on a European night, the nights are special. And tonight is no exception. But the big question is, Simon, will every seat be filled? I would doubt it. Some sections of the Celtic home support have been engaging in boycott protests around the running of the club. But bear in mind, Celtic fans, if you're not going to turn up, then you're not going to turn up. But maybe this should make you consider that you should. It's Martin O'Neill's 1,000th game in management. So it's a historic moment for the man we love here at talkSPORT, Martin O'Neill. And again, going into this, he's called for unity behind the scenes.
I'm agreeing with you. I think that a full house here at Celtic Park is something special. It's every European night that I've had in the past, way back then, was just filled with special moments. You know, teams where I think generally, and I'm talking about the really major sides, were still very, very concerned about coming here. You know, the passion, the drive, and the noise it's made. I remember here our game against Liverpool in that UEFA run. John Robertson, my old friend, was standing beside me and speaking to me. I couldn't hear a word he was saying for the first 10 or 15 minutes. It was so loud. So, yeah, little bits have been lost from that, and that's regrettable, to use your word, I think. And I'm hoping that, I think there has been some discussions, which I'm obviously wasn't party to, but I hear that I think that there's been some progress made. But as I've been saying this here, the sooner that there is unity at Celtic Park, the better for all concerned. We had, I have no doubt at all that the crowd behind the goal on Sunday contributed greatly to us fighting back in the game. No question about that.
And by that, Mark was referring to the Celtic away support on Sunday down at Kilmarnock. 2 down, they won it 3-2. And the Celtic fans behind that goal were virtually sucking the ball into the back of the net. So what we know, Simon, is that the club has engaged with some of these fan protest groups, and there have been talks. Should you seek to reason with those, though, who want you out? And we know what they wanted. They wanted Michael Nicholson removed as chief exec. They want the Green Brigade reinstated, and they want restrictions lifted on all fan media organisations.
Yeah, I mean, look, there should be a balance. There's no benefit in becoming tranched in positions for the longer term. You can't be bullied and be subjected to mob rule. You can't be dictated to. But at the same time, you are accountable to some extent to the value of your football club. And that, in part, is the supporters, a big part. So there needs to be a dynamic where you can find sensible grown-up conversations to resolve legitimate concerns. I'm not going to sit with somebody and justify why I won't find my chief executive to them. I'll have a conversation with them. I'll open the dialogue because I'm quite happy to have confrontations or conversations and subsequently confrontation if it is required to air out the issues and then move on in a positive framework and have an honest exchange of views. I won't have a group of supporters standing in front of me wagging their finger at me telling me who I'm going to fire and who I'm not going to fire, but I will have an exchange of views and explain the club's position and explain why we don't want the Green Brigade in, and these are the reasons why, and if they change their behaviour then we'll have them back in before, but we've danced this dance before, so this is not a debate. We're not having a discussion with you about the idea that you think this should happen, but we will enter into conversations with you, and that's what they're doing, and I think that's probably pragmatic and sensible.
So it's important to manage the dynamics of fan groups.
Well, I think it's probably sensible, especially with such a passionate and powerful fan base as you have in these sort of clubs. You've got to find a way to keep them reasonably on side as much as you possibly can. You don't have to sit there and be dictated to, but you do have to find a communication mechanism. I think some of the things that Celtic have done are silly. I think that they're going in that board meeting and wagging their finger at certain sections of the people of the behaviour of certain people in the shareholders meeting probably wasn't the most wisest. I think it's right.
Desmond's son.
You can't be bullied. And
yeah.
I agree with Dermot for coming out and filling in Brendan Rodgers and not allowing Brendan Rodgers to control the narrative and have his little say, so that all that's left is the marks that he leaves behind rather than the challenges that he actually was part and parcel of creating.
Yeah.
So I think there's right to do that. But to answer your general question, should you communicate with your fans? Yeah, because when it comes down to it, most of them, when they get in front of you, are a very different animal than the ones issuing ultimatums and shouting through loudhailers.
Even fan activists.
Depends. The balance is if you're dealing with someone that is beyond the worth talking to because they're just creating mayhem for mayhem's sake, then no, they shouldn't be given an audience. But if people want to have a sensible dialogue, a pragmatic dialogue, if someone's going to come into your office and start insulting you at full volume, then no. If you're going to have a pragmatic, sensible conversation about what surely is what everybody wants, which is the best interest of the football club, then have it, and then you'll see, actually, you can actually change the minds of people, give a bit of a courtesy into behind the curtain of what's going on. These are the reasons why. These are the reasons these things are done. Now, you don't expect people to concur with you, but it might take some of the temperature out of the room.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes and Martin, if you're listening, good luck tonight. Your 1,000th game in management. Not so much the Celtic supporters. The focus going into the next break's on the Spurs fans. The Spurs supporters' trust in recent days have accused the Tottenham board of a lack of transparency. The fan group insists the club selectively omitted key points from the minutes of their latest meeting. They met with 4 representatives of the club, including Venkatesham, the chief exec, before Thomas Frank was sacked.
Which part of the minutes are they?
Well, the trust claimed that a number of specific points raised during the meeting were not included in the final publicly available minutes, including fans' concerns at the risk of relegation and the club's lack of ambition.
Okay.
So they're not happy that those discussion points were whipped out at the meeting.
Okay. I don't know.
Out the minutes.
I mean, I don't know what the agreement is. I mean, ultimately, the agreement is to have meetings. Is it every aspect of every nuance, every single syllable and sentence of a meeting is to be determined in the minutes?
Probably.
Not necessarily, not all the time. Because certain parts of meetings aren't necessarily, certain parts of meetings aren't always recorded in the minutes. I don't know what the specifics around the agreement is for how minutes are taken in these environments. Why they wouldn't want to...
If it got a bit hot for the board at that particular stage, eliminate paragraph 3 and 4.
Well, but they know that these people are walking, singing a bunch of canaries. They're going to go out and shout the odds anyway, aren't they?
I see.
Well, they know, but they are.
Showing your owner's colours here.
If you've got people in a room, then this is one of the reasons why you don't often want supporters on boards, because you can't trust them to be able to keep their trap shut and in confidential circumstances, because not everything in a boardroom is for public consumption. That's just not the way it works.
Right.
Otherwise, everything in government, everything in life, everything in the Secret Service, everything in life would be visible to everybody. And then where would you be? There are certain things that are sensitive, and there's good reasons for it.
Yeah.
And that's the reasons why you can't have supporters in boardrooms at times. If you've invited them into a room, there really shouldn't be anything that's off the record. So I don't disagree with it. But the purpose of recording your disgruntlement about the fact that the team is not performing was evident. We don't need it to be in the minutes. It's not some big secret. You're not keeping it to yourselves, are you? You're singing about sacking the managers every bleeding week.
Well, you're right. The 2 discussion points under question: the risk of relegation, and the lack of ambition.
But I guess it's a slippery slope. Where they didn't record that. What else didn't they record? What else is going on that we're missing out on?
We're not missing out on anything, because we're going to be talking boxing from 12.
Gabriel Jesus got frustrated at the end, pushed the player. Even our coaches, set piece coach, losing it a little bit because we know that right now it's on the line. Yes. And we need, normally I'm Mr. Calm, I'm Mr. Keep it easy, batting here and there, but no, it's time.
Well, Mikel now, is this where, before kick-off 5 minutes, he locks the door. He says, don't you dare let yourselves down. Look around you. Player for player, we're different class to Tottenham. Do not blow it now. Get out there, concentrate, win your 50-50s and get our game going. Then we beat this mob. If the attitude is not 100%, you're in for a shock. Do not let me down and don't let your mate next to you down. He's got to do that. This is a big game.
If he doesn't do that, I'll be surprised. I'll be disappointed, heartbroken and shocked. We need the boys to galvanise together, man. This is the time. Because honestly, I can't have this man on my right-hand side here, Gabby, at the end of the season, singing second again, ole, ole.
Say if you do finish second, what happens if the dog win?
Thursday lunchtime fast approaching. That means Spencer Oliver will be in the studio. I can tell everybody listening and watching on YouTube, Spencer Oliver was just in studio moments ago, and he's looking at me through the glass. And I'm waving to him now if you're watching on YouTube, and Spencer is waving back. So Spencer's in the studio and he's raring to go. And we love that. Here's the thing though, before we get to Spencer, want to speak to another very talented member of the talkSPORT staff, and he would be Rupert Bell, talkSPORT's golf correspondent, because Tiger Woods, it would seem, is refusing to give up hope of playing in the Masters in April, despite missing all of last season and undergoing a 7th back operation in October. This was Tiger speaking only yesterday.
Final thing with you in regards to your recovery. Is the Masters off the table for you?
No, my body's been through a lot. And so it's just one of those things where it's each and every day I keep trying, I keep progressing, I keep working on it and trying to kind of get stronger, try and get more endurance in this body and try and get it at a level in which I can play at the highest level again.
Are you able to hit full shots yet? Or,
yeah.
And are you?
Yeah, I'm able to. Not well every day, but I can hit them.
Rupert, welcome to the show, my friend. It seems the golf media more or less refuse to move on from Tiger, don't they?
Well, this is the problem, because he was such a dominant force in the sport that he sort of drove everything, and he's still influential behind the scenes as he tries to help unravel all the sort of fallout from Live with the PGA Tour. But somehow you just think, when's he going to let go? Because this body has been through everything. What, back injuries, back operations, car crashes, you name it. But we don't really want to see a sort of undercooked Tiger Woods turning up to the Masters, because it's a shadow of his former self, and it almost feels it's an element of exhibition. There's talk of him maybe playing on one of the Champions Tour events before. That's for the over 50s, for which he is now qualified, to sort of get maybe competitive ready and to see where he's at. But if he can't play anywhere before, I just think leave it alone. You know, okay, we need to, the sport needs to learn to move on from the Tiger Factor events. You know, celebrate Rory's success last year was wonderful. Scotty Scheffler's rewriting the record books with his play at the moment, but yet the total narrative will be, will he or won't he be playing in the Masters? And I think that's golf's big problem.
Yeah, it seems, Simon, with all due respect to Woods, and you have to respect the guy for what he's done, last season began and ended with surgeries to repair a ruptured Achilles and to replace a disc in his back. Maybe he's his own worst enemy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really that offended by Tiger Woods still being a story, because the game of golf, the more stories it has about people, Scotty Scheffler is setting standards that are phenomenal. The game of golf is in relatively decent health. In certain aspects, the controversy and the raging battle between Liv and the established PGA seems to have dissipated a little bit. So the anarchy that the game was suffering is not so prevalent. And Tiger Woods is just another story. And if people are talking about Tiger Woods and talking about golf and talking about the intrigue that goes with it, he's one of those iconic figures that transcends the game for a variety of reasons. We've all seen the catalogue of car crashes, from his personal life to being lectured by the governing body of the Masters when he was sat in front of them getting the finger waved at them all those years ago because of his extramarital affairs. We've seen his injuries, we've seen his comebacks, and all of it provides a backstory. And quite frankly, if the media are so worried about Tiger, then stop reporting on him.
That's a fair point, Rupert, isn't it? What do you think he will do come Team USA captain for next year's event at Adair Manor? What's the likely outcome there, do you think, Rupert, before you leave us?
Well, I think that the interesting thing is, of course, he's friends with J.P. McManus, who owns Adair Manor. So there is a sort of loyalty to him. But does he feel mentally right? And he sort of procrastinated last time, and they ended up appointing Keegan Bradley. And look how well that went for them. So I think that they have to make a decision soon. So if they want Tiger, can he find a way to give the time and devotion to it to make sure that the team are ready, because they were seriously undercooked last time? Maybe it might be 2 years down the line in the next home base Ryder Cup that might see Tiger be captain, because as he says at the moment, he's embroiled in trying to resolve all the political stuff that's going on behind the scenes in the game of golf, rather than devoting his time to being a captain of the Ryder Cup team.
Rupert, are you still fairly happy or not bothered either way about Tiger still being in the conversation?
I think my view is he is and has been the completely dominant force. He changed the landscape of the game of golf. But like all sport, it moves on. And maybe now the 50-year-old Tiger, we can reflect on his brilliance, but I don't want to see him being, a hacker and a back number at the Masters, where, you remember that famous chip-in back in 2005 was one of the defining moments of his career. And I just don't want him to seem to struggling around and not being competitive. But he has the most incredible, insatiable desire to win like no other sportsman. So you wouldn't bet against him being competitive, but I don't think he will be.
Okay, Rupert, thank you very much indeed. I suppose the message has got to be, Simon, Tiger, do what's best for you.
Indeed.
It's 12 noon, fast approaching. The other side of it, we'll talk boxing with Spencer Oliver.
Welcome to the Sports Bar on talkSPORT. Jamie O'Hara, him over there, Jason Cundy. Has anyone seen Arsenal's 2-goal lead? Arteta, can you 2-goal lead? You're going to win. Hello, beating Gunnosaurus kiss. Oh, but do me a favour. 1-0. Win the dog. Win the dog. Win the dog. Can you me with the dog? You're going to win. Hello, beating Gunnosaurus. Darren Benty, Darren, Benty, can you me, Benty? You're going to win. Hello, beating the kebab man has Arsenal score. The Goghness monster. David Raya, Matt Lucas, Matt, you're going to win it. Piers Morgan, Thierry Henry, Woodsy, Laura, you're going to win. Liverbeat. Wow. The title race is on. It's wide open. Big night of action across the talkSPORT network. What on earth are Arsenal doing? Playing in second gear. Wolves were shocking. You drew 2-2 with them. Unbelievable. Only a 5-point lead at the top. It's all falling apart. You got Spurs at the weekend. Wow. Have your say on this. 03 7.
talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
Lines at 12:01. I'm Nick Ellaby. Good afternoon. How do you take the pressure off these tense Arsenal players? Well, Piers Morgan would give them a week off.
I want these guys on a plane somewhere warm on Monday morning until Friday. I want them playing zero football. They look completely mentally frazzled and physically jaded. So let's just give them a break.
After this weekend's North London derby, Arsenal don't play again till Chelsea the following Sunday. Mikel Arteta told us he was too sensitive to talk after Arsenal blew that 2-goal lead at Wolves. Could Arsenal do the Gunners a favour this weekend?
I think we can go to Man City and play with no fear, because if you think back to the cup tie and particularly the second half, we created chances, we created opportunities.
New former Newcastle coach John Carver there. Arne Slot hopes, meanwhile, his Liverpool players would also walk off if they suspected racist abuse. He says football needs to do more than society does to combat racism.
That's maybe not so difficult, by the way, but and I think protocol has been followed during the game, so that's the first step. And I think the football world reacted as you expected to react.
He was asked about the Vinicius Junior situation. It's understood UEFA could take 3 weeks to investigate his allegations Benfica Gianluca Prestiani racially abused him. And in the Six Nations, Gabriel Hamer-Webb will make his Wales debut this weekend as Steve Tandy rings the changes.
Gabe add something to our group for this week that we want to play Scotland. The way Gabe's come in and trained, I think his performances for Leicester as well when we were looking at him were outstanding.
Meanwhile, Jack Crowley will start at fly half for Ireland against England. He's one of 5 changes Andy Farrell's made to his side. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office, and Sir Keir Starmer's appointed a new head of the civil service. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With over 600 centres across the UK, most of which open 7 days a week, we're always there when you need us. QuickFit. Drive away happy every time.
Across central and eastern England, drier later with brighter spells. Showers moving into western Scotland. It's windy in the southwest and the north, feeling chilly.
Well, there's not much of them, but the wonderful Spencer Oliver, one of the few men alive who can successfully have a bath in a saucer, has just walked into the studio this Thursday lunchtime. And full of fun and happiness as always.
Brilliant.
That's what I love about you, Spence. I can virtually say anything and you'll have a chortle.
Well, I work with Simon week in, week out, don't I? So that, you know, that's nothing to me at all, Jim. Trust me.
Anaesthetised, yeah.
Spencer Oliver is with us, and we shall embark on an hour of boxing talk, and we're looking forward to it. Germaine Franklin, Moses Itoma's opponent, is going to join us live in studio very shortly. But at the moment, the 3 of us are going to become the 5 of us, because this weekend, the rematch is upon us. Precisely on Saturday in Nottingham, they do it again. It's Lee Wood, the rematch, up against Josh Warrington. And remember, back in their first fight in 2023, it was Lee Wood who came out on top when he defended his WBA featherweight title against Josh in Sheffield. Well, now they do it again. And I'm delighted to say both Lee and Josh join us live this lunchtime. Gentlemen, good afternoon to you.
Well, that's it.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So both in different locations. We'll see how this works. Let's start with the man who came out on top first time around. Lee, how have the preparations been going?
All good, mate. I'm ready to go now. Can't go quick enough for Saturday night.
Yeah, Lee,
go on, Spence.
Lee, the last fight you had was against Anthony Kakachi. That was back in May 2025. I think that you were talking then, you know, about possibly retiring, whether you'd come back, whether you wouldn't come back. And you have come back, but this seems the perfect opponent. You two had an absolute barnstormer last time out. And I think at this stage of both of your careers, perfect fight for both of you.
Yeah, you're not going to get a better fight in terms of the fan bases colliding and the atmosphere on the night, like all these things, and also the needle between us both makes for a great night. And yeah, as you just said then, I never was in doubt about fighting again. A lot of people publicised that I wasn't sure what I was doing. I never ever said any interview that I wasn't sure. I'd have never finished on a low, to be honest.
Josh, is there much needle going into this, or is there a bunch of mutual respect flying about between the two of you?
I think there's a bit of needle, Simon. You know, I don't know really where it's really stemmed from, but it just has seemed to build up over the last couple of years. And yeah, it's got quite hostile in times, but you know, we can put all that to bid on weekend and let these do the talking.
Yeah, Josh, it was all going really well for you for the first 6 rounds in that fight back in 2023. You got caught in the 7th round, a heavy knockdown. The referee stopped it. You felt it was a little controversial. Now, you're getting your opportunity again here, but you've got to go into the Lions' Den here, haven't you? That Nottingham Arena is going to be very hostile for you.
Yeah, it's going to be hostile, and obviously they'll back Lee really well. But I'm not coming alone. There's many coming down from Leeds and Yorkshire surrounding areas, and equally, my support makes a lot of noise as well. They support me really well, so yeah, I'm going to Lions Den, but like I say, I'm not going to be alone. But regardless, it is only me and Lee in the ring, isn't it?
I mean, what did you take from the first fight, Josh? In the first fight, as you know, in the studio, I picked Lee, and I thought your first 6 rounds were brilliant against him, and obviously he got the decision because of the fact he dropped you. You've had fights against Kakachi. He's had fights against Kakachi. People will suggest that, with due respect to you both, that you're maybe not at your peaks anymore. But when you look at the first fight, what did you take away from it, and what do you think you'll be able to deploy in the next round, in the next fight, that you couldn't or didn't in the first fight?
There's moments. I don't want to give too much away.
No, of course not,
Simon. But there's moments when I felt I could do a little bit more. There's moments when obviously shouldn't have been as reckless. But yeah, the boxing side of it I thought was more or less perfect. I don't think their team anticipated us doing that so much. But this is the beautiful thing about boxing, and on Saturday night, obviously both camps will have mustered up their own game plans and things, and they're going to try out and what's been done in camp. But yeah, it's doing it in gym is one thing, doing it on the night is another.
Of course.
Lee, first time around, did you think it was an emphatic outcome that you won it? Because Josh insisted that the fight was called off prematurely, but you disagreed then. Do you still think that?
It was definitive, yeah. There's nothing controversial about it. He got dropped, he missed the count, and then even after the ref waved it off, he stumbled over to the ropes, and the ropes kept him up. Obviously, no one's really seen that little clip, but yeah, you couldn't have asked for a better knockdown, really. But I think if the ref did give him the time and he had the minute, even if after the minute round, I still think it would have been all right.
Lee, can I ask you where, if and when, in your mind, you win? I know you said a moment ago that you didn't talk about retirement and no one else heard you, but you were very sanguine, and I was in the studio with you when you talked about potentially losing the fight to Kakachi and where it might take you, and there was an indication from you that this might be the last knockings of you. But it isn't, and you're back, so that's all part of the past now. If and when you win this fight, where does it take you, Lee? Where do you go next? People are talking about potentially, if you win this fight, maybe Josh Padley is someone that you'd fight next. What does it look like for you after this? I know you don't look past him, but just...
I'm not too sure, man. I've not really thought about it too heavily, but it could be my last one, it could be my last fight. I'd like to finish on a high, all being well. That's what my intentions are. But we'll see. We'll look at the landscape, look at the fighters, look at the offers, look at the opportunities. But like I said, I could call it a day. We'll see.
Josh, you heard Lee there saying, no, it wasn't an emphatic win first time around. And that at the end of it all, the ropes held you up. Now I watched, you're sitting there, everybody watching on Zoom. You can see me, you can see Spencer, you can see Lee, you can see Josh. You laughed there, Josh, when Lee said that.
Yeah.
Do you want to engage with him on that? Because presumably you disagree.
Yeah, I disagree. And I just feel that I would like to see this cliff that he's on about, this other angle, this other clip that the rope's holding me up. I have got my hands on the ropes, as you can see many times on any angle you look from. I curse to the skies because I'm annoyed with myself for getting caught, but turn around on the referee's count of 8, and it's going to be argued back and forth about if it's right or wrong decision. But I feel I should have been given the benefit of the doubt. One of the fittest boxers in the country, and recovery is fantastic, but never got the opportunity, so that's why we're doing it again this Saturday.
Yeah, listen, I think, Josh, that, the referee's there to do a job, and I think that, when he looks into a fighter's eyes, he can see whatever, and fighters are gladiators. Of course, you think you can carry on, but really that allows a fighter to continue to fight another day, and that's why we get this rematch. I think that, when you looked at that fight, you look back at that one, the referee done a good job in my eyes, because I think at that point he was in no position to continue.
I was going to say, did you think it was emphatic, Spencer?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I'm looking as an outsider, I understand where Josh is coming from, and I understand that fighter's mentality. When you're looking at it from an outside point of view, you go, you know, he's only one or two punches away from something more serious happening. It was an emphatic knockdown, and he done well to beat the count. Shows a heart of a lion to get up. You know, not many fighters would have got up from that. Lee Wood is one of these fighters that carries punch power in either hand at any given point of a fight. You know, Michael Conlon in that fight that he went through hell and back in that fight, and in the 12th round got an emphatic knockout in that fight. He doesn't lose heart. He doesn't lose will. So you go, the referee for me done the right.
I think so too. I mean, I know Josh will have a different view. I think it was relatively conclusive. I think it was non-debatable. I think the first 6 rounds, I think, with due respect to Josh, to Lee, I think Josh schooled him for 6 rounds and got caught in the same way that Michael Conlon didn't school Lee, but got caught because Lee carries that power. And I suppose Josh will look at it and go, I need to do more of that for 6 rounds and not switch off.
Josh schooled him for the first 6 rounds. Lee, did you feel that your opponent?
Yeah, look, guys,
that night?
I'm not moaning about what's happened because it makes for a great rematch. But I've been on both sides. I've been caught and I wanted to carry on in Laura 1, and my coach threw the towel in. Even though I was up and I was like, no, I was so angry that he threw the towel in because the fight will always want to carry on. But also I've been on the other end where the Conlon fight round 1 I got dropped, and I showed the ref I was all right, even though I probably was a bit shaky. But I said to the ref I'm all right, so he let me carry on because the bell went. So I've been on both sides. But yeah, like I said, I'm not moaning about it. Makes for a great rematch, and let's go.
I think it depends, doesn't it, as well, in those situations. Like, you got caught there, you know, using that as a reference. You got caught there against Conlon in that first round, and the referee then thinks, right, give the kid a chance. Let's see if he can get through that one. But as the rounds tick on, the referee obviously takes a closer look because the fights are hard. And that was a hard fight between you two where you were both taking a lot of punishment.
It was a good fight as well.
Well,
it was a great fight.
Here's the thing, Lee. Josh, that was then and this is now. Josh, you've got to avenge this, haven't you?
Yeah, and that's what I look to do. Like you say, I can appreciate Spencer's and Simon's opinion. You know, if the thing is, some of these great fights we've seen in the past wouldn't have like great stories if, you know, the fight was waved off as soon as a fight gets knocked down. I've not really been caught throughout that fight until that round. But hey, bygones be bygones. We're here now, and obviously, if I'd have gone out the next round and got knocked out, then I wouldn't have been sat here talking about a rematch this weekend. So, you know, we go this weekend, and I feel like I'm in a better physical and mental state of mind for this weekend. So, if anything, I'm looking forward to this. I'm very, very excited.
If these two boys are anywhere near where they were 2 or 3 years ago, and we were surprised at Josh Warrington, how good he was in that fight, because there was with all due respect, Josh, you still being here, there was a perception that this might be one fight too many for you against Lee. If they're both anywhere near what they were 2 or 3 years ago, it's going to be a great fight and difficult to pick it because
I think it'll be a great fight anyway, because listen, you go, there's a lot of history between these two, you know, and it means a lot. This is all about legacies and how fights are remembered. When British fighters fight British fighters, they're the fights that people remember. You used that, by the way, on Tuesday, and you use that line.
Let's do it this way then. If you're watching on, you'll get the reaction when you hear it live in talkSPORT. If you're watching on Zoom,
a great fight.
If you're on YouTube, I should say, the boys are on Zoom for us here in studio. They're both in shot. Let's get the reaction. So, Spencer Oliver, who wins on Saturday night?
That is a great question. I think that it's a tough one to call. I'm going to lean towards Lee Wood.
Simon Jordan.
If Josh, I don't. In his last performance, I thought Josh was done. If Josh can get to the level he was in 2023, I think the lessons that he'll be able to do. If he can get to the level when he fought him in 23, I think Josh can win this fight.
Get off the fence, Simon.
Okay,
I just did.
He just did. So Simon's heading towards you, Josh, and Spencer's taking Lee. Finally and briefly, Lee, what are you going to bring on Saturday?
I'm going to bring a revised, better version of this scene. The last round of the last fight. I know what I need to do. It's very clear. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not expecting it to be easy, nor do I even want it to be easy, because you know me, I love to be in a fight where I come through and win. So I'm ready to go Saturday night, and it's going to be a lot cleaner, I know for sure.
Josh, what are you prepared to give to win this thing?
Redemption, another night in Nottingham.
Great, guys. Nottingham Forest fan is Mr. Wood, and big Leeds fan Josh Warrington. Guys, we like you both immensely. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Good luck, boys.
How did he do that? Spencer. There's a lot of mutual respect flying about, and they probably do have a lot of time for each other. But it's all out war on Saturday.
Listen, they've shared the ring before, so they've got that, they've got that respect with each other. They've shared that moment before, so you can't not have respect for your opponent when they both went through what they went through. But ultimately, where does the motivation come from? For Lee Wood, he goes, well, look, there's a possible fight there for Josh Padley if I win this one, and a couple of big fights after that if I come through. That's his motivation. But obviously for Warrington just wants revenge, and that's where he's getting it from. But there'll always be respect because they know what they're going into, these two. Like, one thing we can guarantee is a war.
Fantastic. I want to thank both Lee and Josh. So close to the fight. They've got tunnel vision, of course, of what's going to happen on Saturday night, but they took time out to join us live on this show. They're not the only one, because Germaine Franklin is in town, and he's going to be fighting Moses Atoma, and he's going to be joining us live from about 12:30 right here in studio, no less.
Right, Benfica midfielder Gianluca, how do you pronounce that? Prestiani, is that how you say it? Has denied racially abusing Real Madrid winger Vinicius Junior in the Champions League tie last night. UEFA have announced that an official investigation has been launched after he covered his mouth with his shirt before saying something to Vinicius, which led the Brazilian reporting alleged racist abuse to the referee. The game was halted for 10 minutes before Madrid went on to win the game, thanks to an amazing Vinicius goal. The winger then wrote on Instagram, "Racists are above all cowards. They need to put their shirts in their mouths to show how weak they are. I received a yellow card for celebrating a goal. I still don't understand why. On the other hand, it was just a poorly executed protocol that served no purpose." Now, on the back of that, this is what I find absolutely stunning. Jose Mourinho has come out and said, when you score a goal like that, you celebrate in a respectful way. I told Vinicius, when you score a goal like that, you just celebrate and walk back. When he was arguing about racism, I told him the biggest person in the history of this club is Eusebio, and he was black. The club, this is the last thing that it is, and that's racist. We'll talk about all these comments in just a moment. Mark Clattenburg on Amazon Prime says, once Vinicius Jr. has approached the referee now has to follow protocol. He has to follow the rules that UEFA have set out when this happens. The problem in this situation is that Vinicius Jr. has not helped himself. Oh my goodness, he has made this difficult for the referee. He scored a wonderful goal, and he has to do is celebrate, yes, but return back. He has made...
It's Thursday lunchtime. Spencer Oliver in studio with Simon and myself, and the self-same Spencer Oliver was on duty the other day when Tyson Fury gathered with Arslanbek Makhmudov for their press conference to announce their fight, which is coming up sooner than later. They will do battle on April the 11th. And Spencer, like everybody else, stood back and watched as John Fury attempted to steal the headlines from it. But Tyson spoke, and Tyson spoke about why he wanted to get back in the ring.
I came back for one reason only, and that's to make boxing great again. Since I retired for the 5th time over a year ago, boxing for me has gone on a downward slope. It's become quite boring, and boxing is at its maximum potential when Tyson Fury is actively fighting. And I didn't say that. An AI, the cleverest AI on earth, said that, ChatGPT.
Tyson speaking there at his own news conference the other day. Spencer, you were sitting there in front of him. Was he right? Has the sport become somewhat boring without him?
Well, listen, I think that people do miss Tyson Fury for sure. Like that unpredictability that he brings to press conferences, to fights. You know, don't know what guy turns up. So last 10 years, he's been dominant force in this heavyweight division. Him, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder's the same. You know, we had him in the studio wanting to kill Simon the other day, but he's just one of those characters who then wants a cup of tea with him 2 hours later. Like, they're unpredictable. They're big characters, you know, outside of the ring. And I think that creates a lot of interest for boxing alone. So look, Tyson Fury coming back is a good thing for the heavyweight division, sure. Can he win a world title again? We'll find out this year, I'm sure.
Have you heard from your chum Deontay?
No, surprisingly, I haven't, no.
No.
I shall look forward to hearing from him when he comes back.
He's getting the call. Deontay told me, personally, that Simon Jordan, he wants to take him out for a cup of tea, have a little discussion over things. I don't know if he's trying to set him up, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, but I did say to him, listen, don't underestimate old Sugar Ray Jordan.
Yeah. No, you should go, Simon. We'll be sitting at the table next, and when it kicks off...
Yeah, and he said this, and he said that when you weren't here,
yeah. The strange thing is, I mean, I've had your views about Tyson coming back, Simon, and we share the same view about John Fury and how he behaved the other day.
Yeah.
But I must admit, I'm eager to see what kind of Tyson Fury is going to re-emerge.
Well, once upon a time, the greatest sportsman in the world was the heavyweight champion of the world. And obviously other sports have got bigger and better and bolder and more emphasised. But still the marquee division is the heavyweight division. So if you've got a charismatic character that divides opinion, polarises people's views, has his own style, has done wonderful things inside the ring, has plenty to say for himself, whether you like it or you don't, it's always going to enhance the noise around boxing.
Yeah.
So if the former heavyweight champion comes back and talks in the way that Fury talks and with the charisma and all the sizzle that goes with it, of course it's going to enhance the boxing world. Does he make boxing great again? No. Boxing's okay. Boxing's doing pretty well. There's lots of very great fighters around the world and fights being made across the best divisions. But the heavyweights is always the marquee division. Everything drips and feeds off that. So a big heavyweight coming back with lots of noise, lots to say for himself, lots of controversy, and lots of drivel at times, creates interest. And that's not a bad thing. So it gives more seasoning and sizzle to the boxing world. So I'm pleased that he's back.
One of the I would have thought significant news lines that's come out of it, although I haven't seen it covered much, Spencer, is that Fury claims he'll have no trainer for the fight against Makhmudov. The American coach Sugar Hill Stewart has trained Fury since 2019, so we've been used to them working together. But there's going to be nobody, apart from his cuts man, his whoever in the corner, but no definitive trainer.
Well,
alongside him.
He's going to need somebody. And yeah, of course, that's news lines again, isn't it? He's going to need someone to train him. Who holds the pads? You know, who stands over him when he's doing certain things throughout his training regime? So there will be someone. That someone, I believe, will be his father. I think that they'll probably... His dad used to train him years ago. And I believe that his dad will be a prominent part of the training setup this time.
It's interesting because in one of the utterances that have not been sort of guttural from his father recently was the observation that Tyson's coming back, doing it against his wishes, doesn't understand why he's there, and he's not going to be involved. So that's a sort of contradiction to what you're saying, but you think it's going to be John Fury. I do. Otherwise, who's it going to be? You know, he's saying there's going to be no trainer. Somebody has to be there. You can't do it on your own. John Fury might be busy bashing up 5'2" Ukrainians or picking fights with Steve Bunce or whatever he's doing recently.
I heard he's looking
for avoiding Carl Froch.
He's looking for Carl Froch, isn't he?
Yeah, all he had to do is adjust his eye line.
To be fair to him, John Fury has apologised on social media to Steve Bunce. And I had a look at that earlier on.
We should.
We're still waiting for the apology from Deontay to you. But we'll see if that's a bit of a waste of time. The top fighters come and go, and they come to the studio when they're in town. And this fella is no exception. He goes in against Moses Etoma very soon. Germaine Franklin has stopped by and joins us live next.
Gabby in particular was, quotes, desperate to talk to me. Every sinew of my torso was screaming, I'd rather shoot myself with a rusty World War I rifle. And then I thought, you know what? We've had enough Arsenal bottle jobs for one 12-hour period. It's actually time to face the music, face the pressure, stand up and show this Arsenal team what you do when the heat is on. You don't run away, you don't hide, you actually stand up and you take them on, which is something we singularly failed to do last night.
What's this going to tell us about Mikel this weekend coming up? Here's Arsenal strong favourites to beat Tottenham.
Well, I couldn't think of a better place to go, frankly, than Tottenham on Sunday. And I'm presuming that between now and then, Mikel Arteta, who I've become a massive fan of, I think he's going to read them the riot act quite rightly. And I think he's going to ask them, all of them individually, well, how much do you want this? You know, you can be chokers again, as we have been for the last 3 seasons. We have, I still believe, it was a good debate that came after the last time I was on about the strength and depth of the squad. But frankly, last night, the kind of history I thought we might make this season did not include the fact that, did you know this? That there has been no side that's been top of the Premier League in history that has ever choked a 2-goal lead against someone.
So, how's Mikel Arteta feeling after a huge slip-up in the title race?
Very disappointed, very frustrated. You can sense that. So now is not the moment to talk because we are all too sensitive about it.
Arsenal blew a 2-goal lead to draw at Wolves, and the boss is not the only one feeling sensitive.
I think he's taking the Arsenal as far as they can go. We've got a dog called Win at the training ground. What we need to do is buy 2 gerbils and call one game and one management.
Arsenal are still 5 points clear, but Man City have a game in hand and home advantage when the sides meet in April, and there are 12 games to go. Now, Michael van Gerwen's had to pull out of his Premier League darts quarter-final in Glasgow tonight. That's due to illness. It means Luke Littler gets a bye, and he'll face either Johnny Clayton or Gowan Price in the semi. Now, good news for the UK's flagging hospitality industry. Pubs can stay open until 2 a.m. during the World Cup knockout stages if any of the home nations get there. And you'd never catch anyone at talkSPORT broadcasting under the influence, but Australian sports reporter Danica Mason has apologised for having a few before going on air at the Winter Olympics in Milan.
It's more the price of coffee in the US that we are going to have to get used to. I'm not sure about the iguanas. Where are we going with that one? But anyway.
Mason says she misjudged the situation, also blaming altitude, cold weather and not eating dinner. More at talksport.com.
So, Thursday lunchtime, officially just gone 12:30. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Spencer Oliver. And we, of course, at this particular time of every week, are talking boxing on the show. And judging by the reaction it gets, it's very popular that we do just that. And today is no exception. These two were due to fight back in January, but the fight was postponed until March the 28th because of an injury suffered by one of the fighters. The fighter who suffered the injury was young Moses Otoma, of whom so much is expected. In the other corner was the American Germaine Franklin, who has had to wait and get his opportunity again. And that opportunity is coming up next month on the 28th of March in Manchester. So Germaine Franklin over from the States again, and he will go in against Moses Otoma. And I'm delighted that, having spoken to Moses the other day, we can now speak to his opponent. Germaine joins us live in studio. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you here. Preparations for it. I mean, it's second time round, isn't it? How did you cope with that when all of a sudden, forget it, you're not fighting, Otoma's injured?
I try not to be down about a lot of stuff. I just look at it as more time to prepare for the fight.
Jermaine, you've been over here a few times now, and you'll be known to a lot of the British fight fans for the fights with Anthony Joshua, the loss that you had there on points, and the Dillian Whyte controversy. Did you win it? Did you not win it? It was a very close fight, but you boxed some big names over here, so you're used to the British crowd and whatnot. What do you think about fighting over here? And obviously, it's going to be difficult here against Moses, who's the kid that everyone's talking about as the next big heavyweight star.
I mean, I love fighting over here. I love the passion the English fans have for boxing. You know, they love the sport, so I love that they just love the sport. They're very honest about it, so I respect that. And I've been an underdog a lot of my career, so it's nothing new. You know, just another day in the office.
Do you feed off that as a fighter, like, because you've brought over here as Anthony Joshua for his comeback fight, if you like, and the same with Dillian Whyte as well. You didn't come out victorious that time, but this kid now, they're seeing you as a stepping stone, as opposed to, you know, to get onto that next big level, and you the guy to give him the rounds. Do you feed off that sort of stuff?
Yeah, that part I take a little disrespected. You know, the stepping stone gatekeeper type of thing. I don't appreciate that, but you know.
But that's what I'm saying about feeding off it, like, because that's how they'll see you go, right, Germaine Franklin's going to give us rounds here because this kid can't get any rounds. But that's how they're looking at it.
If they look at me as just rounds, they're gonna be sadly mistaken. You know, I'm in here to fight. I love to fight. I give my heart and soul to this sport. So if they thinking that I'm just gonna be easy rounds, then you know they're sadly mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, you had a great win last time out, Ivan Draco. He was the Olympic bronze medalist, a kid that was 15-0, I believe, 14 KOs. Again, maybe going in there as a slight underdog for this guy, and you turned him over.
I mean, yeah, I feel like I fought a good fight. You know, I had just lost my father like a couple weeks before the fight, so it was kind of tough mentally to be able to stay focused. Just a lot of stuff was rushing my mental at the time, but I did enough to get the job done.
What do you think of Moses? You'll hear that we're all talking him up. He's magnificent in the ring. He's a wrecking ball, and he's so young. You're going in with him next.
I give respect to all fighters. I think Moses is a great fighter. He uses his hands well. He changes levels well. He has nice combination punches. But I study a lot of game. I study a lot of film. So I see small stuff I could capitalize off of. I have the ring experience to be able to show different looks and give different looks. So he hasn't really been tested as far as someone seasoned that can just give him different styles, change the looks up, not someone that's just going to sit there and be a punching bag. So
do you think, I mean, he's never gone past 2 rounds so far, Jermaine. Do you think you could be the first to take him into what would be uncharted territory for Moses?
Well, yeah, I'm trying to be the first to beat him. Forget uncharted territories. I'm trying to be the first to give him to take away his O on his record. So, you know, I guess people think like when you got a young superstar that everybody else is just a walkover or a standing stone. But, you know, I come to fight. I really come to give it my all and to shock the world.
I mean, Jermaine, the fight was obviously meant to take place in January. You were over here before that. You were working hard. disappointment that the fight actually got cancelled? How do you readjust? What do you have to do in between that time to reset? Because a fighter has to hit it right, and it is all about timing. Do you have to take a little bit of time out before you go again? How have you had to do that?
I mean, I was disappointed, but boxing is full of surprises. So don't dwell on it too much. Just get back, rethink, make game plans with your coaches, and get back to it.
And you're training in the barn now, up in Elstree, the gym that I'm familiar with, where Don Charles trains Daniel Dubois. What's it like in there? Like, it's a little bit of a rocky setting there, isn't it? When you think about it, do you know what I mean? It's like on a farm.
I'm a simple guy. I done trained in garages before, so it's not. As long as we got bags in the ring, I'm okay. I don't really dwell on where we're training at, but as long as we got the equipment, I'm good. I can be outside.
I mean, you're cast in this role, which is not seeded in disrespect, but you're cast in this role of rebuilding Dillian White, rebuilding Anthony Joshua, and now as a stepping stone, potentially. I don't think, in no way do I think Moses Atoma is suggesting that. He knows he's got a fight in front of him. But why take this fight? Because it seems to me that lots of people are avoiding Moses Atoma. I know that Kubrat Pulev was in the discussion, but he wanted a ridiculous amount of money to make the fight happen because it was a zero-sum game for him. What's in it for you? If you're constantly cast in this role of being someone else's prop.
Simply because I'm not scared. I love to fight, and I'm not scared of no one. I'm not scared of no man. Every man bleeds like I am. It's just in boxing, like I said, it's a lot of politics, so they paint the narrative, and that's what they want the narrative to be. They want me to be like the gatekeeper or the stepping stone. Sure. That's just a narrative painted on me, but it's up to me and my power to change that narrative.
But how about because we were discussing the fight the other day on a show that myself and Spencer do with Paul Smith and Paulie Malignaggi, and talking about the reality of your fight plan and what you might do and what the credibility of this fight happens to you. And the perception is that you're durable, difficult to put away. You've had one knockout in 10 fights yourself, so you don't bring that threat to Moses Atoma. But really, there's credibility in this for you if you take Moses Atoma 12 rounds rather than win the fight. How do you respond to that sort of observation?
I mean, like I said, I'm looking to win. I don't just if you're a fighter and you're coming in there to last, then this is not the sport for you. I'm coming in there to kick ass, and win. I'm not coming in there to be a pushover or a punch bag for nobody.
We should, Simon, remind everybody of who he's going in against. We spoke to Moses Atoma just the other day, and for someone so young, so much is expected of him, and quite rightly, because so far he hasn't put a foot wrong.
No, and that's why I feel like it's a very tough fight for me. Like, obviously, it's nice to hear that people think that I'm going to be able to knock him out in the first or 1 or 2 rounds, but I guess I've got to work so hard for something that's said so casually. Obviously the best thing known to Germaine Franklin is that he's able to take people the distance and still give back. So that's the only question marks in my career when everybody's asking, what's his chin like, or what's he going to be like in the later rounds. I believe that Germaine Franklin is going to be able to answer some of them questions, and if he can't, then I'm a product of my own success, or a victim of my own success. So either way, I just think this is a perfect fight for me.
Yeah, Jermaine, listen, I think that there's a lot of people that are over here that may not know boxing as well as other people that talk about this fight, and when Moses Atoma can get this fight done. Can he get it done early and whatever? You've never been knocked down, never been knocked out in your whole career, have you? And you've been in with some big punches, some big names. So that they may be underestimating your ability in the ring.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I always been underestimated. It adds a little fuel to the fire, I don't take no slight from it. But I always been casted in that light as somebody that wasn't supposed to be where I am today, and I keep proving people wrong time after time.
What do you make? I mean, it's not your job to be a cheerleader for Moses Atoma, and we're not trying to cast you in that role. But when you look at the recent form that he's been in terms of Dempsey McKean, went 11 rounds with Filip Hrgovic, he got destroyed by Moses. Dillian White got destroyed by Moses. When you look at, and obviously you've been in with Dillian, so you share an opponent there. When you look at Moses, what do you see in front of you?
I mean, I see a good fighter. I see someone that's going to punch and throw a lot of combinations. Style make fights, and all fights are not made at the right time. So a lot of people prejudge because a guy looked at this way against me, and he looked different against a different opponent. It's just different times, different fights. I would say that I fought the better version of Dillian White than he fought.
I think that's a fair comment.
Simon, you're sitting right beside Germaine. Yeah. And we're mindful of the fact of what happened when Simon was sitting very close to Deontay Wilder. Do you doubt that Germaine can take Moses Atoma into the later rounds?
I think he's going to get knocked out. I do. I think I just know. And by the way, saying someone's going to get knocked out is not meant to be disrespectful. I'm not disrespecting Germaine. I'm looking at the fight, looking at Moses Atoma, looking at what I've seen from Germaine. And I think that ideally, I don't want to see an early fight. I want to see a good fight. I want to see Germaine stick it on Moses Atoma. I want to see a good fight. And ultimately, we have an enjoyable evening watching two good fighters put something out. But I think Moses, I don't think he's been in with someone as quick and as fast and at this stage in his career. Going in with Anthony Joshua and Dillian White at their stages in their career is not the same going in with Moses. But on the other side of it, Moses isn't as experienced and as wise as those two fighters.
And that's
so there's a trade-off. But I think, personally, with due respect to the man sitting next to me, I think he's going to get knocked out by Moses.
But there's nothing to suggest that he will get knocked out because he's never been knocked down, never been knocked out.
And I'm happy to be wrong.
No, but what I'm saying
he
is
asked
he's
me.
been, yeah, absolutely. But I say he had been in at the time with Anthony Joshua. Yeah, he was on a rebuild and a comeback, but that kid can whack, and he's still very, very dangerous. And Germaine took some flush shots from him.
The big question about Anthony at that fight, and it's always been about Anthony, was he gun shy? And there was,
he was letting the shots
go. There was
an
allegation at that fight he was getting himself through that fight. Moses Atoma won't navigate this fight.
We'll
see.
See, that's the difference between skills and just watching it. I made him fight that way. It wasn't that he had to fight.
Fair enough.
I made it that way.
Fair enough.
It's different when you're in the ring.
Of course.
You know, so like everybody expects Moses to come out and fight this way or do this and do that. I won't let him.
No.
He's gonna have to try. He's gonna have to try and try again and work out different game plans.
So, Jermaine, explain a little bit about that. How you do that? So, like, you're known as a very awkward fighter and a difficult fighter to look good against. Yeah, you have good durability, but you come in low, you throw the jabs, you come in low, and you're very awkward. Like, do you adjust your style to each and every opponent and what they do, or is that just the way you fight? You got that natural gift of being a very awkward fighter.
I just got the gift of being awkward and being able to adjust to different fighters. So, to me, I'm a back foot fighter. In my personal opinion, I'm a back foot fighter. But if I can't fight on my back foot, then I will try different ways to see how can I attack you, try to see different ways how can I get you to pressure me or attack me or see what your weak points are. So me being awkward is just an extra advantage on top of my skill.
You touched on it, Jermaine. You said earlier, I've always been the underdog. Maybe I shouldn't even be in the position I'm in at this particular stage of my career. Has it been a tough journey?
It's been kind of tough, but I just love the game. I love the hustle. I love to prove people wrong. Like when I first turned pro, they told me I was too fat, I was too short, I wouldn't amount to nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and now I fought 2 world champions. So I've been proving people wrong my whole life. It's nothing new to me.
Jermaine, when Simon suggested that it's his view, and he's quite right to have his view, that you'll get knocked out, I saw you bristle, and it looked as if you might throw a punch at Simon.
Not at all.
Simon is, for that reason, no, I'm joking. Simon is leaving us today at this particular time in the show. Spencer and I will take up to 1 o'clock with you if you're happy to do that.
No, I'm cool. I'm cool with that.
Fabulous. Mr. Jordan, you can go. Run for your life. We're back after this. Wayne Rooney has suggested Liverpool boss Arne Slot lacks aura. He says it's strange, isn't it, when you're talking about Slot being on an audition to keep his job, when he obviously has recently won the Premier League. I've met him a couple of times, but I just don't think for Liverpool he's got that aura. And maybe that's because Liverpool have just come off the back of Jurgen Klopp as manager. It's difficult for anyone, but I just don't think that aura is there about him. Has he got a lack of aura?
Well, I spent some time with him. I interviewed him for talkSPORT and spoke to him for a while before as well. I quite liked his presence and his calmness and his intelligence. I think Wayne's right if you're comparing him to Klopp. Klopp is an exuberant, charismatic, warm, humorous, larger-than-life character who captivated the whole city in many ways and brought it together over a period of time where it was struggling. So to follow him, I mean, is anybody out? I mean, nobody really you think could walk in and be what Klopp was. So I understand where he's coming from. He's kind of justified himself in his words, Wayne.
Yeah.
He's not Klopp, no. And also, irrelevant of his charisma, charm, or any of those traits, if he finishes outside the Champions League places and doesn't win it, he'll probably be gone.
It reminds me of the Kevin Bridges routine about self-esteem. I didn't get paid this week, but I've got plenty of self-esteem, and that's great. I mean, Arna, you haven't. Simon Jordan has left the building. He has an arrangement. He has a meeting that he has to attend. Nothing to do with the fact that he's just told Germaine Franklin that Germaine will be knocked out by Moses Atoma when the two fight. But Germaine, on a serious note, in studio and proving to be a very, very popular guest on the show. Many people getting in touch, Germaine. Fully respectful, and I truly mean this, fully respectful of what you have done in the fight game. And what you've done is considerable. I think only 2 defeats in 26, and you've been in with the best, and you fought the best. And Moses Atoma, we think, might become the best. So in no way would you shirk a challenge.
No, I don't. I love the challenge. I like it. A lot of people shy away from it, but like I said, I love boxing. Boxing changed my life since I was 13 years old, so I would never shy away from anything.
That's the game, though, isn't it? Like you say, you love the challenge. Yours is all about getting the opportunity. You had it against Dillian White. You had it against Anthony Joshua. Now you get it against Moses Atoma. But on the flip side, from Moses Atoma's point of view, you go, he's loving the challenge because he's now getting an opportunity to see if he can step up to that next class, so, that world-class sort of level, because that's where you've been campaigning for a while now.
So, in that light, I feel like he's trying to challenge himself, but I think they're thinking about it the wrong way. A fight should not be held up on contempt of what I can do or if I can do this. It should be held on the contempt of I'm out here to win. I'm out here to go to war. I'm out here to sacrifice. I just look at it differently.
Tell me about your journey. Born in Michigan, you're 32 now. What is it like being in the fight game, committed to your sport? How did you find the sport?
My stepdad, Darwin Lamar. I don't want to say I was a bad kid, but I was getting into it.
I like to train. This is the time that I like to train. I don't want to train really in the day. Like it's about having everything on point. When you're in a training camp, right? It's about leaving no stone unturned. People don't realise this. Like you go, if you do something that's slightly out of the ordinary, it can mess up. Like it's the mind. It's like 80% mental, this game, and 20% physical. And your mind has to be right to go, I've left nothing unturned. And do you know why that is, Jim? Because when you get into a crisis, let's say we were in round 10 and you get caught with a shot and you go down and everything else, you need that discipline, and you get these little voices that come up in your head and go, listen, and if you've left some stone unturned, these voices come up and they're telling you the wrong thing. And you go, I've got to get up. I've got to do this. I've worked harder than anyone else. I'm understanding where he comes from. I don't want to train at 12:30. I want to train at 8:30.
The heavyweight division, though, Germaine, what has happened to it? Has there been a drop-off there, from the heydays of the likes of Mike Tyson? In your country, what's happened over in the US?
Yes and no, I would say. I just think we had to get more kids into the sport. It's not as sought out as it once was, so we have to get it back exciting as where as overall fan standpoint. You know, boxing used to be global. They fought in Japan, they was fighting in Africa, they used to fight everywhere.
Yeah.
So now it kind of slowed down on the aspect of how the world views boxing. But you know, like our countries love it, but as a world view, it kind of slowed down. So I think we just have to get it back exciting, get it back to where kids like the sport, and it will start to pick up more. I say yes and no to that because at that time I loved the old boxers. So I love Holyfield's my favorite boxer. You know, I love the old guys. I love that generation of boxing. Everybody fought each other. It wasn't a lot of ducking. There wasn't a lot of money reasons because of the belts and all that type of stuff. You had one belt, everybody tried to fight for that one belt. So it was like as boxing evolved, it kind of got watered down a little bit, which probably made the sport look a little dry in an aspect because certain people don't want to fight each other, or I want to hold this belt, I don't want to lose my belt, or I want you to pay me a crazy amount of money to fight you for your belt. So in that aspect of it, it kind of dried out a little bit. But I think boxing's still here. I think we proved time and time again that we're a sport that's going to be here for a long time.
Do you still keep in touch with Holyfield? Do you know him?
No, I don't know. I never met him.
You never met him?
Never met him.
And he's a guy that you've looked upon as a top
I
match.
like all the old guys. Him, Riddick Bowe, Tyson, you know, Ali. No disrespect to Ali, but I wouldn't put, like, when I was coming up, you know, Holyfield was the guy. Riddick Bowe was the guy. Tyson was the guy. Ali is a great. I love the old tapes, and I watch a lot of the old tapes. I like how
do they go on too long, though, Jermaine? Do they fight too long? Holyfield could be accused of that, couldn't he?
Yes, him. I feel like him and Foreman fought a little too long. I feel like they could have hung it up a little earlier. But as we see time and time again in this sport, it seems like it's hard to quit.
You said it yourself. You said that, you know, you quit 5 times. And something just keeps drawing you back. That's what our sport does. Like, you go, that is the difficult thing to, like, know when enough's enough, because the fighter, I think, is the first one to know it, but the last one to admit it. And people like Holyfield and all those, you go, they've had those highs, you know, and they can fill the arena and they miss all that. That's the buzz.
We can never get it through our minds why these guys go on and on. I remember an American commentator asking Holyfield, you've got everything you need in life. You've got properties everywhere. You've got enough money. You could air condition hell. That was the point that the guy made to him. And Holyfield agreed. And he said, but fighting's fighting.
I feel like after you fall in love with the sport, it's hard to find that love in anything else.
And did you know, it's that, Jim, it's that whole, like, missing the arena, you know what I mean? You walk out and that whole arena's there for you, and it's that buzz and getting your hand lifted up, like, when you have a close fight or whatever, and you're standing there, you don't know what way it's going to go, and you're thinking, right, what way they're going to go here, and they call out your name. That is the ultimate buzz, and I think that's what a fighter struggles to give up. You know,
it's like for me, it's very deep. Like I can come to the gym. I might not even have to work out, but just to see a gym full of boxers, I'm happy. I want to help. I want to help people hit the pads, hit the bag, show them punches, show them different techniques that they can do. I guess I'm at home.
Brilliant.
I'm at peace in
Brilliant.
the gym.
We'll finish on this. One guy who carries on and on is Deontay Wilder. And Wilder's going to go in against Derek Chisora, it could be said of him. He carries on. Anyway, the two go in against each other, Jermaine, on April the 4th. I'll ask you about the Bronze Bomber in a moment. We mentioned that Simon had something of an altercation with Deontay Wilder recently. I don't know if you've seen this, Jermaine. Feast your eyes on this.
We're not going to talk about him at all.
But as part
We're not going to talk about him at all. I know the truth. I have the facts.
Okay.
I got the proof. I got the people to tell it. I ain't never lied about none in this business. You can believe what? Why is it so hard to believe a black man in a white man?
Nothing to do with color.
It's hard to move on when you don't know the truth. You don't get it.
Well, okay.
None of y'all get it. And that's the problem. You think you get what you don't understand. Man, let me get the out of here, bro. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Talking about my peoples and all that. It's hard to believe a black man than a white man. The cheated. Tell him to sue me so I can show the facts. I'm going to show everything.
Fantastic.
I'm going to get all the people that know and all the people that's in the inside. He got people that in the inside of him that can know. I don't about that.
I'm not a Fury fan.
I don't about it. I said we didn't want to bring him up in the first place. It ain't got to do with him.
Fair enough.
The you talking about?
That was that. Now, Jermaine, that all kicked off because Wilder claimed that Tyson Fury had cheated when they fought, and Simon endeavoured to bring that up, and you can see the reaction it got. Is the Bronze Bomber, is Deontay Wilder still up there? Is it? Is he still a big name and a big pool in your sport?
He's still a big name, but I I wouldn't technically say he's still up there. I mean, probably another couple big fights will put him back up there in that position. But boxing is kind of it's kind of hard to stay at the top. If you're not winning, then you're kind of like dropped off instantly. So it's like it's one of those sports where either you have the name to where everybody wants to see you fight all the time. That's how you stay at the top, or you have to win.
You're always just one win away though from that big fight, aren't you? You know what I mean? When you look at it and you look at this pool, you go like you and Deontay Wilder could be a million miles away, not even being talked about. You go all of a sudden, Deontay Wilder beats Derek Chisora, you beat Moses Talma, then the fight's being talked about. And that's the game that we're in, and I think that's what makes it exciting. You know what I mean? They won't mention your names at
Let's finish on that, Spencer. Let's finish on that. I mean, obviously, you're hugely confident in your own ability, Jermaine. It's widely thought Moses Atoma will win on the night. On the 28th